Yogita Raghuvanshi, India's first female truck driver. Chandraprabha Ramkite, a fearless woman earth mover and miner from Nagpur. And the remarkable CA Bhavani Devi, India's fencing trailblazer.
Thank you, Greya and Sabina. I do request all of our audiences to please start taking their seats one more time. I know there's been a bit of an upheaval, and I request our panelists also to take their seats. So it is an absolute pleasure for me to be speaking to these four women, because I've been lucky in my field. There have been a lot of women who've done what I do, and they've paved the way for women like me. But I have a unique set of panelists and speakers and guests who've done first as women in their fields or are achieving things in their fields that even men have not done. So right next to me is Sanobar Pardiwala. She's a stunt woman who's plying her trade in the Indian film industry. And obviously, as stunts go or action goes, we associate it as much as we do with men and not so much with women. So she is one of those women who's leading the charge and paving the way for more women to do things that are often considered to be male-dominated. Next to her is Yogita Raghuvanshi, who's also India's first truck driver. Another act or a profession that is considered about men, isn't it? Right? Is truck driving for men? Yes or no? Not anymore, exactly. The answer is not anymore because of women like Yogita. On the very far corner is CA Bhavani, who's India's fencer. Fencing is a lesser known sport in India. So for a women athlete to come in a sport like that, which is also a fighting sport, right, with a sword, or fence, I should say, and that too, she's reached a level that even male fencers in India have not. She's just coming of the World Championships, and before that, you won India's first fencing medal at the Asian Championships. So a big round of applause for CA Bhavani as well, because she's winning medals where no Indian has won before. And also, last but not the least, Chandraprabha Ramkite. She's joining us. She's an earth mover. She moves heavy, she works on heavy machinery, heavy vehicles, and she is one of the first and the very few women who do this. So, as I make that introduction, I do want our audiences to please encourage our speakers with a big round of applause. It is because of women like you that more and more women are visible and visible in fields that were not associated with them. Sanobar, let me begin with you. Was it always a dream for you to do stunts? Is this something you grew up wanting, or is this just something that happened to you, and why?
Well, it's very important how you grow in life and how you are raised. It is very important, and it plays an utmost major chunk in your life. It takes away and it gives you a lot. So when I was 12, I auditioned for my first shoot, and that was the moment, that was that epiphany when I realized that this is something that I'm very good at doing, and I want to continue doing it. Because I realized the whole purpose of education is in the end doing something and enhancing your talent in what you're good at. And I realized that at the age of 12 when I performed my first stunt. And since
But how did you get into doing stunts?
I was a black belt in karate. I was also a gymnast and a very good swimmer, and even better underwater swimmer. I could hold my breath for 2 minutes at that time. So a lot of these skills build up your reflexes. I'm also an advanced deep sea diver and a skydiver. I hold a lot of records for the same too. And yes, so that is how it enhances your reflexes. And because your reflexes are enhanced in a particular manner, the way you react, and in the split second, the way you react when you're supposed to whilst performing stunts is something that is built over a period of time. And I realized it.
You realized it when you were 12?
I realized it when I was 12.
Wow, wonderful. Well, that is one thing that really helps, knowing exactly what you want. But before I go to our other guests, Anubar, I do want to ask you, It is very difficult for women to be taken seriously, even in fields that are not so male dominated. But your field was not associated with women at all. There were no roles where women would perform stunts. So forget about having a woman, stunt master. So I want to understand from you, how difficult was it for you, or was it difficult for you to be taken seriously in the industry?
Well, to be taken seriously, you had to outperform what a guy could not do. In fact, you had to perform better than them, and at the same time, it's not easy. It is difficult because, let's say, even if you, at the end of the day, I'll give you one small vague example. I was called for a bike riding shoot, and it was this very simple shot. I didn't have to do any tricks, nothing, just ride the bike, point A, point B. And just before the take, the director asks me in front of everyone in the loud mic saying, "Can you ride a bike? Are you sure you can ride the bike? Wait,
Wow.
stop." And I'm like, "Didn't you see me ride a bike to the shoot? Isn't that what I'm hired for?"
Yeah. So even though you were hired for that job, the director was uncertain you could do that job.
Just before the take, he was absolutely uncertain that I could do it or not. And that is where you have to take criticism, and you have to take things with a pinch of salt and a pound of positivity.
Absolutely. Well, other than that, you wouldn't be able to do it. But Yogita, I want to come to you. You're India's first truck driver. If I have it correct, आपने एक पर्सनल ट्रेजेडी के बाद ट्रक ड्राइविंग शुरू करी. आपने लॉ पढ़ी थी, लेकिन आप लॉयर का काम नहीं करना चाहती थी क्योंकि आपको लगता था कि उसमें आपको सेटल होने में और पैसे बनाने में बहुत टाइम लगेगा. लेकिन ट्रक इजी मनी था या क्विक मनी था. एम आई राइट? या बट ट्रक ड्राइविंग एक ऐसा काम है जो महिलाएं करती ही नहीं थी. नो वुमन वाज डूइंग दिस बिफोर यू. सो व्हाई वुड यू इवन थिंक ऑफ डूइंग दिस? एंड वाज देयर नॉट अ डाउट दैट आई कैन डू दिस?
मेरी सोच ये थी कि कोई भी ऐसा काम नहीं है जिसे महिलाएं नहीं कर सकती. ये जो सोच थी कि महिलाएं ये काम नहीं करती है, ये उन लोगों की सोच है. मेरी सोच तो नहीं थी ना. तो मेरी सोच नहीं थी तो मैं कर सकती हूँ.
जी बिल्कुल. बट आपको लोगों ने कुछ डराया, कुछ ये भी कहा होगा कि आप मत करिए, बड़ा रिस्की काम है. ट्रक ड्राइविंग आप करोगे तो पूरे देश में आपको जाना होगा, अकेले जाना होगा, बाकी ट्रक ड्राइवर्स के साथ रुकना होगा, क्योंकि आपके फील्ड में तो मर्द ही मर्द है. तो वो कैसे टैकल किया आपने?
बाकी लोग तो बाद में कहेंगे, सबसे पहले तो घर से शुरुआत होती है. तो घर में ही सबसे पहले पापा ने मना किया, भाई ने मना किया. मैंने नहीं सुना उनका कुछ, मतलब जो भी उन्होंने कहा, और मैंने तो वही किया जो मुझे करना था, और उसी में आगे बढ़ी और आज भी कर रही हूँ.
लेकिन करते करते क्या चैलेंजेस आपने देखे, जो सिर्फ वो चैलेंजेस थे जो आपकी कैपेबिलिटी से रिलेटेड नहीं थे, सिर्फ उस चीज़ से रिलेटेड थे कि आप एक महिला हैं?
हाँ, एक बहुत बड़ा मतलब चैलेंज ये था कि पब्लिक, मतलब आम जो लोगों के बीच मेरी गाड़ी जाती है और आती या रुकती, या फिर मैं जैसे टायर वाले के यहाँ पे रुकी है गाड़ी और मैं कह रही हूँ कि भैया टायर बनाएंगे, तो वो स्कूटर लेके गाड़ी के मतलब दुकान के पास आ जाता है, बोलता बनाता है. फिर मैं कहती हूँ भैया मेरा गाड़ी का टायर बनाएंगे, तो बोले ये स्कूटर आपकी नहीं है. मैंने कहा नहीं, मेरी वो ट्रक है, उसका टायर बनाएंगे.
तो आपकी गाड़ी नहीं पहचान पाते थे वो?
हाँ, मतलब कभी सोचा ही नहीं उन लोगों ने
कि ट्रक आपका हो सकता है.
और ऐसे ही हाथ से सभी दूर ज़्यादातर हुए. मतलब
बाकी ट्रक ड्राइवर्स ने आपको देख के कैसे रिएक्ट किया? उन्होंने आपको इनकरेज किया, आपको कंफर्टेबल फील कराने की कोशिश करी, लेकिन या बाकी मर्द को लगता था कि ये औरत कहाँ से आ गई हमारे बीच में?
ढाबे के ऊपर जब आधी रात में ड्राइवर्स लोग चाय पीते थे, मैं भी पीने के लिए ब्रेक मारी और गई, तो सारे इस नज़र से देख रहे थे कि कहाँ से आ गई है और क्या है, और ये चाय पी रही है. मतलब मेन तो महिला रात में, आधी रात में ड्राइवर्स लोगों के बीच में जाके चाय तो पिएगी नहीं डिमांड करके.
तो आप जाती थी उनके बीच में?
हाँ, क्योंकि मुझे रात भर जैसे मेरे पास टमाटर लोड है तो मुझे रात भर ड्राइव करना है.
हाँ.
तो मुझे चाय की ज़रूरत तो पड़ती थी नींद को भगाने के लिए.
आपको कभी अपनी सेफ्टी के लिए कुछ दिक्कत हुई, कुछ मुश्किलें आई?
एज ए वुमेन, मतलब महिला होने के नाते मुझे सेफ्टी की कभी ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ी, क्योंकि किसी भी ड्राइवर या फिर मतलब जेंट्स लोगों के बीच जब मैं गई तो मुझे उनसे असुरक्षा महसूस नहीं हुई. क्योंकि मेरा कॉन्फिडेंस उनके नज़रिए से कई गुना ज़्यादा पावरफुल था।
जी।
तो मतलब मुझे अपने ऊपर इतना कॉन्फिडेंस था कि मैं ये लोग कुछ भी सोचे मुझे कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ रहा है। मैं बाकायदा 2 बिस्किट लेती हूँ, चाय पीती हूँ, और जब सारे लोग मेरे पे नज़र रखते हैं कि ये कहाँ जाती है देखते हैं, और जब ट्रक में बैठ के ट्रक चलाती हूँ तो मुझे सैल्यूट मारते हैं।
अच्छा। You know, this is a very important lesson as women. I think all of us understand this. कि आप एक कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ बिहेव करें, कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ चलें, तो लोगों को वो दिखता है, और आपके सामने अगर कोई गलत नज़रिए का मर्द है भी, तो वो भी आपसे ज़रा 2 कदम दूर ही रहेगा, अगर आप वो कॉन्फिडेंस एक्सूड करते हैं तो। लेकिन एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ जो योगिता ने बोली, एज विमेन, एज यंग गर्ल्स, स्पेशली इन सिटीज़ और इवन इन स्मॉलर सिटीज़ और टाउन्स, हम लोग घर से 10-11 बजे के बाद निकलते भी नहीं हैं, और यहाँ पे योगिता अकेले ट्रक ड्राइविंग कर रही है अराउंड द वर्ल्ड ऑन हाईवेज विच आर barely lit and stopping at dhabas and all. So I think she deserves a big round of applause for just having that heart to do so. To just think कि मैं कर सकती हूँ, इसमें क्या बड़ी बात है। जी योगिता जी,
हाँ बिल्कुल।
कभी डाउट नहीं हुआ?
नहीं, कभी भी नहीं हुआ, बिल्कुल 1% या -0.1% भी नहीं हुआ, मतलब बिल्कुल
जी।
क्योंकि मैं कर सकती हूँ, जो भी प्रॉब्लम्स आएगी उसे मैं हैंडल करूँगी। और मैंने महसूस किया कि एक प्रॉब्लम्स को शॉर्ट आउट करते हुए जब आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, तो पता नहीं कैसे अपने आप ही ऊपर वाला सारे रास्ते खोलते हुए चलता है।
जी बिल्कुल,
उस पर भरोसा करना चाहिए।
बिल्कुल। चंद्रप्रभा जी भी एक ऐसी ही महिला है जिन्होंने वो काम किया है जो महिलाएं नहीं करती थी। आप एक अर्थ मूवर हैं, आप बड़ी बड़ी मशीनरी और व्हीकल्स चलाती हैं, तो हम मुझे अपने सफ़र के बारे में थोड़ा सा बताइए। ये काम आपने क्यों शुरू किया? आपके हस्बैंड करते थे उसी कंपनी में? नहीं, उसी कंपनी में काम करते थे, लेकिन
कंपनी में काम करते थे।
लेकिन जो हैवी व्हीकल्स हैं वो आपने चलाना शुरू किया।
हाँ।
ऐसा क्यों?
क्योंकि
मैम थोड़ा सा माइक ऊपर करिए।
पियून भी सब बनते हैं, पियून चपरासी भी बनते हैं, यानी सब काम करने वाले बनते हैं, लेकिन ऐसा हेवी मशीन चलाने वाले कोई नहीं बनते। तो हमने सोचा कि हम नया कुछ करके दिखाएंगे, और फिर मेरे को बहुत लोगों ने डरा है कि खदान है, वहाँ मर जाते हैं, घुटने टूटते हैं, कमर टूटती है, और वो जेंट्स का काम है, लेडीज का काम नहीं है। फिर भी मैंने बोली कि नहीं, मैं करके दिखाऊंगी और कर सकती हूँ
जी।
और आगे बढ़ गई मैं। मेरे को सपोर्ट सब लोगों ने किया, मेरे ऑफिसर लोगों ने, सबने सपोर्ट किया
जी।
और कोई डराते थे कि नहीं करना करके, लेकिन घर का भी सपोर्ट अच्छा था कि आप कर सकती हो
जी।
मैं करके दिखाई।
चलिए चंद्रप्रभा जी, एक सवाल मैं आपसे पूछूं। ये ऐसे फील्ड्स हैं, आप नोटिस करेंगे हमारे जो पैनलिस्ट हैं बहुत ही फिजिकल फील्ड्स में हैं, तो उनका जो फील्ड है वो ऐसे फील्ड्स हैं जो महिलाओं और मर्दों के बीच में जो एक बहुत फंडामेंटल डिफरेंस है वो स्ट्रेंथ का डिफरेंस है, साइज का डिफरेंस है। आई थिंक वी कैन एक्सेप्ट दैट men are bigger, often stronger than us. That's just how it is. That's how our biology, physiology is. लेकिन आपके वो फील्ड्स हैं जिसमें स्ट्रेंथ लगती है और डेंजरस फील्ड्स हैं। तो चंद्रप्रभा जी, आपको कभी लगा कि आपकी बॉडी में वो उतनी ताकत नहीं है जो ज़रूरी है आपके फील्ड के लिए?
हाँ, लगा ना मैडम।
लगा।
हाँ।
तो कैसे आपने ओवरकम किया?
जब स्टार्टिंग में जब मशीन पे चले गई ना मैं, तो वो मशीन देख के मुझे भी डर लग गया। तो ऐसा धीरे धीरे पैर वगैरह डालना था मेरे को, और वो मशीन के ऊपर चढ़ना था, फिर बटन दबाना था, क्या करना था ये मेरे को नहीं समझ में आता था। लेकिन कोई जेंट्स ऐसे रहते हैं कि चलो मैडम आपको इच्छा है तो चलो आपको सिखा देते हैं
जी।
तो मैं पहले तो वो क्या बोलते पीसी सीख गई मैं। फिर बाद में शावेल बोले तो पूरे खदान की एक मात्र ऐसी बड़ी मशीन है कि चार बकेट उसमें डाले तो एक डंपर फुल हो जाता है। तो फिर मेरे को सब लोग डराते थे कि ये शक्तिशाली मैडम का काम है, आपका काम नहीं है, आप मत करो ये काम, आप छोटा मोटा काम कर लो, कुछ भी मांग लो। नहीं, मेरे को वही करना है, मेरे को आगे बढ़ना है। ऐसा
बिल्कुल। सो बेसिकली इवन इफ देयर आर issues of physical strength. You can overcome it. अगर आपके पास belief है और confidence है कि आप कर सकते हो, you can overcome.
बिल्कुल कर सकते मैम,
बिल्कुल
कर सकते हैं।
सारा। तो आप मुझे बताइए, आपके फैमिली में बच्चे हैं आपके?
हाँ, एक
लड़की है?
लड़का एक लड़की।
अच्छा, तो आप अपनी लड़की के लिए क्या चाह रही हैं अब? क्या करे वो?
लड़की के लिए,
जी।
लड़की के लिए वो भी मेरे जैसी स्ट्रांग बनना चाहिए, आगे बढ़ना चाहिए।
बिल्कुल। All right. Let me go across to Bhavani Devi as well, who's the sports star and athlete on the panel. Bhavani, you are playing a sport which is not very well known in India. On top of that, it is a sport which is physical. It's not, I mean, you obviously do touch your opponent, but not quite in contact sport. But was there ever a time that you were discouraged from playing this sport? Ki, why don't you as a woman maybe play something else that would be better for you?
Hi. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here. So yes, in the beginning of my career, I always faced these questions, but from outside, not from my family. So always people or my friends, mothers or father, they always tell me like, Bhavani, I think fencing is not for India. Why you waste your time and energy? Better focus on your education, get a job, do something else. You can't build a career in fencing. But for me, I understand from their concern, you know, but they don't know what sports life is. Not all people who do sports achieve in
Can be
the
successful.
sports, whether
Yeah.
it is popular sports or not popular sport.
Yeah.
But for me, fencing, the first ever competition in fencing was the school games. I lost my match, but all my schoolmates, my teammates got medal. So from that day, I thought like I want to do something in this sport, not in the district level, but I want to win something for India. So that's what kept me motivated. But for me, the most important thing which I had with me was I want to do my 100% effort, whether I have money or not, whether I have support or not. From my side, after I leave the sport, I don't want to feel regret. Oh, I should have tried. Maybe I could have tried. Maybe I could have taken loan, or I could have go for this competition. But I know that I will work hard. I know I'm ready to work hard. I know I can do something, but I don't know what. But I want to try for it for 100%. And for that, my family has stood by me all the tough times. I think it's because of their support and strength which kept me going forward whenever I face so much of problem. Yes.
Your
yes.
mother is
Yes.
actually here. So I'm guessing your mother has played a big part in your
Yes,
life, as
yes.
always, as is the case for all of us.
Yes, I think she's the Shakti which I have in my life, which kept me going to this level in this sport, and to whatever level I go in this sport in my life, it's only because of her. Because we had so much financial problem in the initial stage. We had to take loans for like 20 lakhs or 25 lakhs. I can say one thing as an example. You know, I was going for a competition, and she was trying to get funds, and it was delayed. So I took the flight because we pay for the flight tickets later. So I took the flight, I arrived to the airport, but I don't have money to go to the hotel. So I stayed that night in the airport, and then the next morning she sent me the money, and then I went to the hotel. So in the beginning it was so hard, but for me, I want to do, you know, I want to try, I want to feel happiness by
Yes.
trying. So whether I get the result or not, it's the secondary thing. So that's what my mom always says. You know, when even I thought like, Mom, maybe I think I should stop. It's too much for our family. You know, I can see what they are struggling. So she said, no, you started it.
And
go till the end. You know.
Absolutely. Amazing. A big round of applause for mothers like that who encourage their daughters. Bhavani, very quickly, I want to understand from you. I interact with a lot of athletes and female athletes as well. What is that one issue that female athletes face when they play sports? Is there still an issue? Which is
yeah.
what men may not face, but women face? Is there something?
I think the most common thing which I feel still happening is because in sports sometimes you get the result early or later. But if women doesn't get results in the earlier stage, it's difficult for the parents or the society
To let them continue.
They think, oh, it's finished, you cannot do. But for men, it's not the same. They will, oh, try, it's okay, it's not, it's it's okay for
Very-
men. For women, it's a little
No,
bit
very
hard.
important point you made, that if a woman is not successful early in her career, then the pressure builds to get married and maybe, you know, build a family. For men, that pressure is not there. So very important point there. I have final minutes left. Sanapar, I want to come back to you. Do you want to share a stunt that was one of the toughest ones you have done and you did better than any man around?
Well, this was for the movie Ravan that I had performed, and this was a sequence where we jumped off a cliff, which was around 300 feet high. The ideal shot was to jump from the cliff next to the waterfall. She doesn't die, so the person doesn't die. Aishwarya doesn't die in that shot, and she falls through the trees, rivers, rocks, branches, trees, rivers, rocks, branches, and then finally into the river. She survives that fall, 300 feet. And we did that in Ethirapalli rainforest in Kerala, and it was one of the most mesmerizing stunts ever. We won, I got nominated for the Taurus World Stunt Awards in 2006 for the same.
Okay, excellent. Well done. I do thank all of the lovely ladies for being here. Yogita ji, Chandraprabha ji, Bhavani, Sanoba, thank you so much for being here. हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद. और आपकी स्टोरी से हम उम्मीद रखते हैं कि बहुत सी महिलाओं को बहुत उम्मीद मिलेगी और वो भी अपने किसी नए फील्ड में कुछ नई शुरुआत करेंगी. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for the very, very inspiring tales that these ladies have shared before you. And Shivani and I now request you to felicitate all the ladies. Can we have the mementos, please?
अगम शक्ति में श्री शक्तियों को सम्मानित किया जा रहा है जोरदार तालियों के साथ. आप सभी ने अपना वक्त दिया, इसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Agam Shakti is a huge round of applause for them, please. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is special and really, really special. Our next session is called Vanvasi Shakti. Now, they are the true manifestations of Shri Shakti in the hinterland. They have traveled many miles to come here and honor us with their presence. They and their work are not often talked about, and it gives us immense pride that Shri Shakti becomes the platform where their work takes the spotlight. I first would request my colleague Palki Sharma to please come up on stage to moderate this session, and before we introduce our panelists, Palki, please.
वनवासी शक्ति, जिसका जिक्र किए बगैर श्री शक्ति का सफर पूरा नहीं हो सकता. भारत में लाखों आदिवासी महिलाओं की जिंदगी को सशक्त बनाने के लिए, संपूर्ण बनाने के लिए कई ऐसी श्री शक्तियां पुरजोर कोशिश कर रही हैं. सबसे पहले हम मंच पर बुलाना चाहेंगे, स्वागत करेंगे छत्तीसगढ़ के नक्सल प्रभावित जिले दंतेवाड़ा में जाना पहचाना और परिचित नाम बुधरी ताती जी को. जोरदार तालियों के साथ ताती जी का सभी स्वागत करें. आपने समाज सेवा में 40 दशकों से ज्यादा का वक्त दिया है, जिसके लिए हर कोई इस वक्त धन्यवाद कह रहा है. इसके अलावा श्री शक्ति की अदम्य मिसाल पद्म पुरस्कार विजेता भूरी बाई जी का भी आप सभी जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत करें. श्री शक्ति की एक और मिसाल वनवासी शक्ति में अपनी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभा रही सुरेंद्र देवी राणा जी का भी हम मंच पर तहे दिल से स्वागत करते हैं. आपने महिला कल्याण स्वयं सहायता समूह से आप जुड़ी हैं, अपना विशेष योगदान दे रही हैं. वहीं राष्ट्रीय ग्रामीण आजीविका मिशन को भी आप तेजी से आगे बढ़ा रही हैं. साथ ही स्वागत करें सुरों से वनवासी संस्कृति को संरक्षित और सुरक्षित रखने में सबसे आगे रहने वाली आंध्र प्रदेश की अचम्मा जी का भी. जोरदार तालियां अचम्मा जी आपके लिए. आप लोकगीतों के जरिए संस्कृति और रीति रिवाजों के बारे में स्थानीय लोगों को लगातार शिक्षित करती रही हैं.
शुक्रिया. ये एक बहुत ही स्पेशल सेशन है. थोड़ा चैलेंजिंग भी है, क्योंकि जिन विषयों में इन्होंने काम किया है उनकी अक्सर चर्चा नहीं होती। बुधरी ताती जी, आप नक्सल प्रभावित क्षेत्रों में महिलाओं के उत्थान के लिए काम करती हैं। आपने 500 से ज़्यादा महिलाओं को आत्मनिर्भर बनाया। क्या प्रेरणा रही आपकी? क्यों आपने सोचा कि यही आपको करना है?
नमस्कार। मैं क्योंकि जो वहाँ का परिस्थिति पहले से जो देख रही थी कि मैं 1984 में 15 साल की थी, तभी समाज के काम करने के लिए मुझे अपने मन में जो प्रेरणा आया कि ऐसी जो छत्तीसगढ़ में दक्षिण बस्तर दंतेवाड़ा जिला में हजारों बहनें हैं, कभी विद्यालय नहीं गए, न कुछ भी नहीं किए। ऐसे बहनों के बीच में मुझे क्या करना होगा, ऐसा सोच के मैं इस काम को शुरू की। और मैं सबसे पहले तो नागपुर में गई, महिलाओं का जो काम देखी 1.5 महीना में, उससे मुझे बहुत कुछ प्रेरणा मिला। और जब जो है मैं वहाँ जा कर के मैं काम करने का प्रयास की। और सबसे पहले आप सब जानते होंगे अबुनमर क्षेत्र है, उस क्षेत्र में कभी हम सभी लोगों से कभी उनका उठना बैठना मिलना नहीं होता है। ऐसा जो परिवार है, जो 12 गाँव को हमने चयनित किए और उस गांव के बीच में हमने गए हैं, तो वहाँ जाने के बाद हम सबको देख कर के सब छोटे छोटे बच्चों को छोड़ कर के भागना चालू किए। तो भागना चालू किए, हम उनके पीछे हम लोग भी भागने लगे। जब तक उनके पीछे हम नहीं जाएंगे तो उनके सामने लाएंगे कौन लाएगा, ऐसा सोच के हम लोग उनके पीछे गए। वहाँ देखे तो पूरे ऐसा समाज है, कुछ समाज ऐसा है कि वो कभी आगे का जो उनका जो विकास का बातें कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं। सबसे पहले मैं उनको चिन्हित किए, वहाँ गए, उनको जो है हमें ऐसा प्रेरित किए और उनको एक तो पूरे 500 गांव को पहले संपर्क किए। संपर्क करने के बाद ही मुझे ऐसा समझ में आया कि इस जगह में काम करना है तो कैसा करना होगा। तो हम जैसे बड़े बहनों को संपर्क किए, हमारे पास लाने के बाद जो है उनको हमने सबसे पहले शिक्षित बनाने का कोशिश की है। कोई भी काम करते हैं तो सबसे पहले व्यक्ति स्वयं को शिक्षित होना पड़ता है, उसके बाद जो है काम करना होगा। ऐसा बहने को सबको लाने के बाद जो है हम लोग उनको शिक्षित किए। कभी विद्यालय नहीं गए ऐसी बहनों को हमने उनको साक्षरता बनाए। 5वीं 8वीं 10वीं 12वीं जितना पढ़ाना ऐसा पढ़ा करके उन्हीं बहनों के माध्यम से हमने 400-500 महिलाओं को काम करने का प्रयास किए।
बहुत ही सराहनीय है और मुझे यकीन है आसान नहीं रहा होगा, क्योंकि परिस्थितियां विपरीत हैं और समाज का जो रुख है वो भी अपनाता नहीं है इतनी जल्दी ऐसे चेंज को। हम आपके पास आएंगे, अभी फ़िलहाल भूरी बाई जी के पास जाते हैं। आप भील आर्टिस्ट हैं और आपने पिथौरा म्यूरल पेंटिंग में काम किया है। ट्रेडिशनली महिलाओं को इस क्षेत्र में अपनाया नहीं जाता, तो आपने क्यों चुना ये और आपको शुरू में किस तरह की रेजिस्टेंस, किस तरह की सामाजिक प्रेशर से आपको आगे बढ़ना पड़ा?
देखिए, ये हमारा भील आदिवासी पिथौरा है
जी,
वो पिथौरा की पहचान है
जी,
लेकिन जो हमारे जो जनजाति में जो महिलाएं हैं वो पिथौरा नहीं बनाती है, लेकिन ये हमारी पहचान है। मैं पिथौरा को नहीं बनाऊंगी, लेकिन उसमें जो पूजा में पिथौरा बाबा का जो घोड़ा है और उसमें जो पूजा में लेते हैं वो चीज़ मैं नहीं बनाऊंगी। मैं बनाऊंगी जो मुझे बचपन से ही शौक़ था। जब मैं 7-8 साल की थी तो मुझे बहुत शौक़ था। मेरे को ऐसा मैंने तो कभी सोचा ही नहीं था, लेकिन मेरी माँ कहती थी त्यौहार आ रहे हैं तो वो गोबर मिट्टी से अपने घर की दीवारों को लिपा पोती करते हैं। शादी होती है तो जैसे शादी वाला घर लगना चाहिए, जब पूजा होती है तो पूजा वाला घर लगना चाहिए। तो मैं अपने हाथ से ही कलर लेके और बैठ जाती थी, मैं खुद ही हाथ से कलर बना लिया करती थी। जैसे वो केकड़ा मिट्टी निकालता है, वो मिट्टी ले आती थी। काला कलर जो मिट्टी का तवा पे हम रोटी बनाते हैं उसको खुरूस के काला कलर बना लिया करते थे। जब मेरे को ऐसा लगता कि मैं अब ग्रीन कलर कैसे बनाऊं, तो जैसे वो सेम कलर की जो पत्ती है उनको इकट्ठी कर ली बहुत सारी, उसको सुखा दिया। सुखाने के बाद उसको पत्थर पे पीस लेती थी। पीसने के बाद फिर उसको एक बार गला दिया। मैं ग्रीन कलर बना लिया करती थी, मुझे शौक था बचपन से ही। ऐसे धीरे धीरे जब त्यौहार आया, शादी आई, ऐसे कर लेती थी। फिर जैसे धीरे धीरे हम भाई छोटे थे, दोनों बहनें थी, कमाने वाले थे नहीं, माँ बाप बहुत गरीब थे, क्योंकि हमको खाने के लिए धान मिलता नहीं था। वो किसी के यहाँ एक लोटा लेके जाते थे तो उधार लेके आते थे, और दूसरी बार फिर नहीं मिलता तो दूसरी बार जाते थे तो बोलते हैं नहीं पहले की तुमने उधारी नहीं चुकाई, हम नहीं देते हैं। तो मैं अपने बचपन में बहुत ही गरीब रहे, और लोगों के खेतों में कमाने के लिए, काम करने के लिए जाती थी, जो कटाई करने के लिए, निदाई करने के लिए, तो 1 रुपये मिलते थे। दोनों बहनें 2 रुपये कमा के लाती। ऐसा करते करते फिर हमारी दोनों बहनों की शादी हो गई। मेरा पति कहने लगे, बोले गांव में तो 1 रुपये मिलते हैं, 1.5 रुपये मिलते हैं, उसमें कहाँ पूरा होता है, अपन शहर से लें, शहर में ज़्यादा पैसे मिलेंगे। तो मेरा पति मेरे को भोपाल में लेके आया। जब भोपाल में आए हम तो एक म्यूज़ियम है भारत भवन करके, वो म्यूज़ियम बन रहा था। तो मैं आते से म्यूज़ियम में वहाँ पर मैं मजदूरी करने लगी। मुझे नहीं पता कि वो कौन थे, क्या थे। वो बहुत बड़े आर्टिस्ट भी थे और भारत भवन के डायरेक्टर भी थे, जे स्वामीनाथन जी जगदीश करके। उनका आज भी मेरे सर पे उनका आशीर्वाद है। तो उन्होंने बोला, बोले आप कहाँ के हो, क्या समाज हो, कैसे आपके गांव में शादी होती है, कैसे मतलब पूजा पाठ करते हैं, किस देवी देवता को मानते हैं। तो मैंने कहा हम हिंदी समझते नहीं हैं, आपको हम कैसे समझाएं, कि पहली बार हम निकल के आए, हिंदी नहीं बोलते थे, हिंदी बोलना ही नहीं आता था। तो सामने वाला बोल रहे हैं तो हम कहते हैं अरे ये बड़े आदमी हैं, ये इसको क्यों बात कर रहे हो। हम लड़की डरती थी, बात करने के लिए डरती थी, उससे बात मत करो, ये पकड़ के ले जाएंगे। अब गाँव के रहने वाले, और पहली बार ऐसे बात करने में बहुत डर लगता था। वो रोज़ रोज़ आते हैं, हम काम कर रहे हैं वहाँ, माल देना, पत्थर फेंकना, मिट्टी डालना, ऐसा। कहते हैं नहीं हमें आप बताओ, बोले हमें थोड़ा सा बना के दिखाओ। सबने मना कर दिया, 100-150 लेबर थी, उनने सबने मना कर दिया। मेरी बहन कहने लगी, बोले भूरी आपको तो आता है, अब अपने घर की दीवारों पे बनाती हो, आप उनको बना के दिखाओ। मैंने कहा मैं अपने घर की दीवारों पे बनाती हूँ, और मिट्टी का कलर लेके, और ख़राब हो जाता है तो फिर लिपा पोती कर लेते हैं, और इनको मैं कैसे ख़राब हो जाएंगे तो क्या करके दूँगी, कैसे सुधार के दूँ। बोले नहीं आप ख़राब हो जाए कैसा भी बने, आप तो बना के दिखा। तो मैंने कहा मेरे को तुम्हें बना के दूँ तो मेरे को मजदूरी कौन देंगे, मैं तो मजदूरी करने आई। तो मेरे को 6 रुपये मिल रहे थे। तो कहने लगे, बोले आपको 6 रुपये मिल रहे हैं, हम 10 रुपये देंगे। मैंने कहा मेरे को 10 रुपये नहीं चाहिए, मेरे को 6 रुपये चाहिए। मैंने उनको मना कर दिया, मेरे को 6 रुपये चाहिए। कहने लगे अच्छा ठीक है। मैंने पहला ही मतलब रंग कलर ब्रश से भारत भवन थे बनाने के लिए मैंने स्टार्ट किया, और वहाँ से उनके स्वामी जी के कहने पर रंग कलर ब्रश से मैंने शुरुआत की। तो उन्होंने 5 दिन बनवाया मेरे को 5 दिन के 50 रुपये दिए।
अरे वाह।
और मैंने कहा ये इतने सारे पैसे क्यों दे दिए उनने, मैं मजदूरी कर रही तो मेरे को हफ्ते भर का 30 रुपये मिल रहे। मैंने कहा मेरा पति मेरे को डांटेंगे, मेरे को गाली बकेंगे कि काय के 50 रुपये मिले, डर भी लग रहा है। और फिर ऐसे करते करते फिर आया वो 1-2-2.5 साल के बाद फिर आया, कहने लगे भूरी भाई आपसे और बनवाना है। तो मैंने कहा हाँ बना देंगे। 10 दिन और बनवाया, 10 दिन के मेरे को 1500 रुपये दिए। मेरे को बहुत ढेर सारे पैसे लगे। फिर वो पैसे देख के ना मेरे परिवार वाले, मेरे ससुराल वाले सब मेरे पति से कहने लगे, बोले तेरी बीवी को इतने सारे पैसे क्यों दे दिए, कौन ने दिए, ये किस काम के दिए। मेरे पति को भड़का दिया उन्होंने, ससुराल वालों ने भड़का दिया। मेरा पति कहने लगे, बोले आप मजदूरी करने जाओगे, ये ऐसा कलाकारी का काम करने नहीं जाओगे
जी।
अब फिर क्या करें, वो कहने लगे, बोले आपका घर दिखा दो, हम आपको ज़रूरत पड़ेंगे तो फिर हम बुलाएंगे आपको। मैंने कहा मेरा घर तो है ही नहीं, हम ऐसा घास का मतलब जैसे ओडा टाइप का वो झुग्गी बना के रह रहे थे भोपाल में। मजदूरी जहाँ मजदूरी मिली वहाँ मजदूरी कर ली। कहने लगे अच्छा ठीक है, जैसा भी घर है आपका घर दिखा दो। घर पे आए वो, बोले आप खाने में क्या लेते हो? तो मैंने कहा हम मक्के की रोटी खाते हैं। बोले हम भी खाएंगे, हमारे लिए बनाओ। तो मैंने मक्के की रोटी और चटनी, लहसुन वाली लाल मिर्ची की चटनी बनाई। उन 2-4 लोगों और साथ में आए, उन्होंने सबने खाया
जी।
उनको बहुत अच्छा लगा। ऐसा करते करते फिर कुछ सालों के बाद मेरे पति ने मेरे को ये
आप यहाँ आ गए, आप बोलने से डर रहे थे और आप इस मंच पे अपनी पूरी कहानी सुना रहे हैं। बहुत ही इंस्पायरिंग और प्रेरणादायक आपकी कहानी है। मैं फिर आती हूँ आपके पास, पर इस वक्त मैं चाहती हूँ कि हमारे जो बाकी गेस्ट हैं वो भी जुड़े हमारे साथ। भूरी बाई, श्रीमती सुरेंद्री देवी राणा से हम बात करते हैं। आपने हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स के क्षेत्र में काम किया है और 35 विमेन वेलफेयर ग्रुप्स के साथ आप जुड़ी हुई हैं। आपने क्यों इसको चुना और किस तरह का संघर्ष आपने देखा और किस तरह का बदलाव आपको लगता है आप लेके आई हैं अपने परिवार में और अपने समाज में अपने काम के थ्रू?
जी मैम, मैं बहुत गरीब परिवार से थी और एक हमारी जो दीदी आई थी हमारे गांव में, उन्होंने कहा कि बहन एक समूह बनाओ आप। तो मैंने कहा समूह क्या चीज़ होती है, मैं समूह को तो पहचानती नहीं, समूह होती क्या है। तो उन्होंने कहा कि एक बार जुड़ो, आप 10 महिलाओं को इकट्ठा करो और उसको एक ग्रुप बना के और बैंक में जाके खाता खुलवाएंगे और आप हर महीने में 20 रुपये जमा करना। तो मैंने 10 महिलाओं को बुला के और हमने मीटिंग करके मैंने समूह बनवाया। समूह बनवाने के बाद जैसे कि हमने 20 रुपये महीना जमा करते थे, उस टाइम ऐसी हालत थी मेरी कि महीना आ जाता था लेकिन मेरे पास 20 रुपये भी नहीं होते थे। फिर ऐसे ही हमें 50,000 का हमें लोन मिला, उससे मैंने एक भैंस ली और क्या कहते हैं हमारी जो 7 जो महिलाएं थी उन्होंने भी एक भैंस ली। उस टाइम में 5 से 6 हज़ार तक की भैंस थी। तब हमने और अपने जो समूह था, समूह का नाम रखा था महिला कल्याण स्वयं सहायता समूह, ताकि महिलाओं का कल्याण हो। उसके बाद हमने जैसे हमने भैंस ली, उसका दूध बेचा और थोड़े थोड़े पैसे हमारे आते गए। और जैसे कि हमारे और भी गांव की महिलाएं वो भी कहने लगी कि जैसे ही आप अपना समूह चला रही वैसे ही हमारा भी समूह बनवाओ। तो ऐसे करते करते मैंने 35 समूह बनाए और उनकी मैं अध्यक्ष हूँ मैं। और आज मैं हर महीने में 110 रुपये महीना जमा करती हूँ। और 2010 में एक टेलर मास्टर आए, उन्होंने ट्रेनिंग दी मेरे को। जो घास की जो डलियाँ, छोटी छोटी डलियाँ कलरफुल वो बनाते हैं, उसकी मुझे ट्रेनिंग दी 3 महीने की। मैंने उस ट्रेनिंग में 3 महीने की ट्रेनिंग ली। उसके बाद में मास्टर टेलर खुद ही बन गई मैं और गाँव में वो ट्रेनिंग देती गई। जिनको मैंने सिखाया उनमें से 1000 महिलाएं जो मेरे साथ अभी काम कर रही हैं और वो उनको सिखाया वो खुद ही मास्टर टेलर बन गई हैं। और आज के दिन जो मेरी साथ जो काम कर रही हैं वो इतना खुश हैं कि बहुत ज़्यादा खुश हैं। वो अपने आप को आत्मनिर्भर कर रही हैं। और मैं क्या कहते हैं उनसे बार बार यही कहती हूँ कि आप पे काम कर रही हैं, आपकी जो बेटी हैं, बहू आए, उनको भी यही काम सिखाना और ये काम छोड़ना ही नहीं है। और मैं ये चाहती हूँ, जैसे ही मैंने इतना संघर्ष किया, जैसे मैं गांव से बाहर जाती थी, लोग कुछ भी बोलते थे लेकिन उस चीज़ों को मैं ध्यान नहीं देती थी, क्योंकि मेरी फैमिली, मेरे हस्बैंड, मेरे पति, मेरे सास ससुर जितने भी थे, मेरा काफ़ी सपोर्ट दिया और अभी तक सपोर्ट ही किया और आज तक सपोर्ट देते ही हैं। और आज भी मेरे एक बेटा आया छोटा और मेरे हस्बैंड मेरे साथ में आए हुए हैं। किसी भी टाइम कहीं से भी अगर लेटर आया, हर विभाग से मुझे काफ़ी सपोर्ट मिलता है। हर विभाग में मुझे हैंडीक्राफ्ट का जो जैसे कि स्टॉल मेला जगह जगह लगते हैं, वहाँ पर मुझे बुलाते हैं, वहाँ पर मैं जाती हूँ। तो वहाँ पर काफ़ी अच्छा लगता है। सब लोगों से, देश विदेशों से भी लोग आते हैं, उनसे मिलके और बातचीत करके काफ़ी अच्छा लगता है, मिलके अच्छा लगता है। जब मैं यहाँ से जाती हूँ तो गांव में काफ़ी लोग बहुत खुश होते हैं मुझे देख के।
बहुत ही बेहतरीन और बहुत ही इंस्पायरिंग आपकी स्टोरी है, बहुत ही प्रेरणादायक है। आपने अपने साथ साथ बहुत सारी महिलाओं को और सशक्त किया है। हम अचम्मा जी से भी बात करना चाहते हैं। हिंदी नहीं बोलती हैं आप, मैंने सुना, पर आप गाती हैं बहुत अच्छा, आप ट्रेडिशनल फोक सिंगर हैं। तो आप और म्यूज़िक की कोई भाषा नहीं होती, वो आप किसी भी भाषा में गाएं, उसका जो भाव है वो लोगों तक पहुंच जाता है। तो व्हाई डोंट यू सिंग समथिंग फॉर अस?
तेलुगु
जी जी बिल्कुल।
आंध्र प्रदेश में 300 భజన కేంద్ర रहने हैं గ్రామాల్లో గ్రామానికి వెళ్ళి సత్సంగ కేంద్రాలు అలాగే గ్రామ సమితి ద్వారా మహిళా కార్యక్రమం మహిళల్లో ఏకత్రితం అవ్వడం సంఘటితం ఏదైనా సమస్య ఉంటే గ్రామ సమితి ద్వారా ఆ సమస్య తీర్చడం ఇలాగా వనవాసి కళ్యాణాశ్రమం ద్వారా ఇది జరుగుతుంది. అలాగే మొన్న కరోనా సమయంలో చాలా సుదూర గ్రామాలకు వెళ్ళి వాళ్ళకి మెడికల్ కిట్టు నిత్యావసర వస్తువులు వాళ్ళకి ఇవ్వడం జరిగింది. వనవాసి కళ్యాణాశ్రమం కార్యం కోసం 70 కిలోమీటర్లు దూరం నడిచి వెళ్ళి ఆ గ్రామంలో వనవాసి కళ్యాణాశ్రమం కార్యక్రమాలు చేపట్టడం జరిగింది. అలాగే ఇప్పుడు వనవాసి కళ్యాణాశ్రమం ద్వారా ప్రతి ఒక్క గ్రామంలో మహిళల్లో చైతన్యం వచ్చింది. ఆ గ్రామంలో ఎటువంటి సమస్య వచ్చినప్పటికీ ఆ సమస్య మహిళలే తీర్చుకునే పరిస్థితి కళ్యాణాశ్రమం ద్వారా జరుగుతుంది. అలాగే మరి ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్లో చాలా ఎక్కువగా మత మార్పిడి కార్యక్రమాలు కూడా జరుగుతుంది. వనవాసి కళ్యాణాశ్రమం భజన కేంద్రాలు ఉన్న చోట అటువంటి వాళ్ళు వచ్చినప్పుడు వాళ్ళని ఎదిరించి వాళ్ళని పంపించే ధైర్యం మహిళలకి అక్కడ రావడం జరిగిందనమాట.
I wish I could speak and understand Telugu. I'm sure you have a very inspiring, आपका मैसेज बहुत inspiring है. आप कुछ गाना चाहती हैं हमारे लिए? Do you want to sing?
तेलुगु गाना हिंदी गाना?
जी, तेलुगु गाना, हिंदी गाना, जो आप गाना चाहती हैं.
శ్రీరామచంద్ర నిన్ను పిలచితిరా ఓ సీతమ్మ నాథ నిన్ను పిలచితిరా మెరుపల్లె మెరిసావు ఆ మిథిలలో మెల్లంగా విరిచావు శివవిల్లును విరిచి సీతమ్మను వలసి అయోధ్యకయ్యావు మహారాజువు రామ్ రామ్ సీతారాం 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 రామ్ రామ్ సీతారాం 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 రామ లక్ష్మణ జానకి జై బోలో హనుమాన్ కి రామ లక్ష్మణ जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की. ये दसरा नवरात्रि उत्सव में
ये गाते हैं.
बड़ा गांवों का महिला सम्मेलन होगा करने हैं. गांव का महिला सम्मेलन 2000-3000 लोगों को महिलाओं का सम्मेलन करेंगे.
बहुत ही खूबसूरत. बहुत कम समय हमारे पास. इट डज़ नॉट डू जस्टिस टू योर स्टोरीज़. आपकी कहानियाँ बहुत प्रेरित कर सकती हैं बहुत लोगों को. पर इस मंच का जो ध्येय है वो ये है कि हम एक आइडिया दें लोगों को, एक बात शुरू करने का पॉइंट दें और फिर उससे लोग सीखें. तो थैंक यू वेरी मच. आपने अपनी कहानी, अपनी जर्नी हमारे साथ शेयर की, हमें बताया किस तरह का संघर्ष आपने देखा है और क्या आपने अचीव किया है. प्लीज़ put your hands together for our panelists. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much, Palki. May I now request you to please present the ladies with a memento.
जोरदार तालियों के साथ श्री शक्तियों के इस जज्बे को सलाम कीजिए, क्योंकि शी जब शक्ति बन जाती है तो वो लाखों करोड़ों महिलाओं के लिए सबसे बड़ी मिसाल कायम कर जाती हैं.
The Vanvasi Shaktis, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for these ladies. Thank you so much. Esteemed guests, we are now moving on to the next session, Raksha Shakti. This is to celebrate the indomitable spirit of our warrior women, the true epitome of Raksha Shakti. These women have transformed challenges into triumphs, shattered barriers, and risen through the ranks in the armed forces, proving that they are forces to be reckoned with. Their mental fortitude and unwavering dedication have paved the way for gender equality in the military.
खाकी वर्दी से लेकर मिलिट्री ग्रीन तक की वर्दी तक, एयरफोर्स पायलट से लेकर नेवी कमांडर तक, शीश शक्ति की बाहुबली कमान ने हर मोर्चे पर न सिर्फ दस्तक दी बल्कि जीत का परचम भी बखूबी लहराया और दुनिया भर में भारत का सिर गर्व से इस कदर ऊंचा किया जिन्हें कुछ शब्दों में बयां करना यकीनन मुमकिन नहीं। मैं सबसे पहले मंच पर बुलाना चाहूंगी हमारी सहयोगी शिरीन भान को। दृढ़ता की मिसाल बन चुकी शीर्ष शक्तियों के खास पैनल से भी हम आपको रूबरू करवाना चाहते हैं। हम स्वागत करना चाहेंगे पुनीता अरोड़ा, जो कि इंडियन आर्मी में पहली महिला लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल भी रह चुकी हैं और इंडियन नेवी में वाइस एडमिरल भी। बहुत बहुत स्वागत है मैम आपका। इसके अलावा मंच पर स्वागत करेंगे दृढ़ता की एक और मिसाल सोनल वी मिश्रा का भी, जो कि आईजी सीआरपीएफ हैं। आपका भी जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत है। और साथ ही स्वागत कर्नल सोफिया कुरैशी का भी, जिन्होंने देश का सीना रक्षा शक्ति के क्षेत्र में गर्व से चौड़ा किया है। स्क्वाड्रन लीडर सिंधु रेड्डी का भी हम मंच पर जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत करेंगे। हर मोर्चे पर आपने हिंदुस्तान का नाम रोशन किया, सिर ऊंचा किया। और साथ ही जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत करेंगे डॉक्टर सीमा राव का भी, जो कि आर्मी में एक कॉम्बैट ट्रेनर है। आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है रक्षा शक्ति के क्षेत्र में अपनी महत्वपूर्ण योगदान देने के लिए।
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be back specifically on this panel because here's a personal story. I am the daughter of a fighter pilot in the Indian Air Force, and so it gives me a lot of pride and it is my privilege here to speak with these ladies here, these officers here who've really been the torch bearers for gender equity and gender balance and gender parity as far as our forces are concerned. And let me just set the context here for where things currently stand now. We have women officers across the three forces. In fact, if you take a look at the Army, in the officers category, excluding the medical corps and the dental corps, the percentage of women officers in the Indian Army today stands at just under 4%. If you look at the medical corps and the dental corps, it's about a much significantly higher number. If you look at the Navy, the number of women in the Navy currently at about 6%. If you look at the Air Force, excluding the medical and the dental corps, it's almost 14%. So we've seen a significant move up as far as the women's representation in the forces are concerned. If I were to take you through the many achievements and the many medals that each one of these women have won, it's going to be the end of this program. So I'm not going to go down that road. But let me start by asking you, Vice Admiral Punita Arora, I don't know how many of you realize this. She has served in each of the three forces. So that is truly remarkable. And she is one of the originals because she was commissioned in 1968. So what a pleasure and an honor it is to have you here. I want to understand from you, what have you seen as the big change and the big evolution from the time that you joined the forces and as you look at where the forces are today?
Hello.
Yes, it's working. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Now, I joined Armed Forces in 1968, as she has already mentioned. And we were the first one to be commissioned as a permanent commission. Earlier, they were only short service, means the woman joined, stayed there for 2 years, 3 years, and then, of course, they left and they went. So the forces, the organization was not used to having a lady officer as a permanent commission in them. So they never realized they are going to be there permanent with us only. So the challenges, my whole life was full of challenge only. And the main challenges came from 3 quarters. The first one was my colleagues, my own age group and the junior ones. The second challenge came from my seniors in my own unit. And the third challenge was from the organization itself. The challenges were because these people in armed forces was mainly a male-centric organization. They had seen ladies in their house as a housewife, their mother, but they never saw ladies who are going to sit next to them in the office and over there. So that was the main challenge. The juniors officers or my colleagues thought, my God, the lady officer, she's not going to work. Probably she will say, I want to take a leave, I have children at home, and she's going to give all kind of excuses so that she can take leave. My seniors also probably were not used to it because they never seen a lady officer coming and working with them. And my organization, because there were no rules and regulation meant for the lady officer. Everything was for gentlemen officers. So as a result, at every level, whenever I got posted, first of all, I had to convince everyone, look, I'm also going to work. I'll work, with you people, and literally, I'm telling you, I had to work double to convince them that a lady officers can also perform and perform well. So it used to take me 1 to 2 years. By the time I finished 3 years, well, I was posted out. And I was at the square one again trying to convince my whole unit that yes, we can also work. Now came from the organization. See, I will not say it was unfortunate. Well, the circumstances were such that there were no rules and regulations. Now I'll give you a very small example. See, like I asked for my posting to Srinagar where my husband was there. Now everybody was confused. My God, Srinagar, going to be posted with your husband. The ladies just accompany them. They don't get posted there. Secondly, asking for a maternity leave. So when I asked for a maternity leave, when my son was to be born, so the whole organization went through all the rules and regulations. There is an annual leave, there is a casual leave, there is a sick leave.
There's no maternity leave.
But nothing known as because gentlemen officers don't have children. So that was the challenge which we faced. And let me tell you very honestly, these challenges throughout I faced. But one thing was there, I will fully agree that they were scared. Not scared, they didn't know how to react to the lady officers in there. But at the end of the tenure, when I used to leave, they used to say, no, please send us more lady officers. We are very happy with this. So these were the challenges which we faced when I was there, when I joined over there. In fact, all these young ladies who are sitting over here, they were not even born when I joined them.
So in many ways, absolutely, you paved the way for each one of them to live their dreams.
And I only say one thing, when people ask me, for the young ladies, what? I say, see, when you are going to be the first one in that field, everything depends on you, how you perform. If you perform well, you will open the floodgates for other young ladies to join that organization.
Absolutely.
But if you fail, and then you have got nothing to, give way to these others. I don't take pride or I don't say anything, but let me tell you that at my level, and all my other lady officers who were there, I give credit to all of them. They have paved the doors opened for the other officers, lady officers, to come into the armed forces.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. As I said, the original paving the way and opening the doors for so many of these officers that we see here today. Sonal Mishra, let me come to you. And very quickly, I want to tell you a little bit about Sonal. She's a 2000 batch Tamil Nadu cadre officer. She's the first woman IPS officer from Chhattisgarh to receive the much coveted Indian Police Medal Award in 2016. What an absolute pleasure it is to have you here, Sonal, with us. But, just to take off from what we heard there from Ms. Arora, what has the journey been like for you? Is it better today? Is it more accepting? Is the force more accepting? Are your colleagues more accepting seeing a woman in charge in uniform?
I must say yes. I must say yes. The atmosphere, I don't know what ma'am would have faced, but definitely we have faced better times. And times are improving very fast because it's the critical number, you know. Once the numbers start increasing for the women, I think everybody sees a role model, more so among women, among girls. We look at our role models, and the same happens with us in service when we look at our seniors and see that, yes, if she has done this assignment, why not I? So that role model thing helps us a lot. And the second thing is, you know, the right attitude. I think that is the most important thing. If we have the right and the firm attitude, everybody down falls in line.
But what has been the hardest part for you so far, and what has been the big change that you've noticed in the way that people approach you, and what is it that you would like to tell women who are watching you? Because as you said, today your representation of what the forces can do and what the forces offer for women, what would you say to them?
I would say don't hold yourself back. You know, if we are holding ourselves back, that is our problem. The force is there, the force or our organization is there, it's accepting us with open arms, I must say. And women at the right decision-making level can be the catalyst for you. And they are there now almost in all organizations at the right decision-making level. So don't hold yourself back. That's my message to the young generation. Whoever is entering at whatever level, you know, I see in CRPF, I have served in the northeastern sector. It's a difficult area. One must not hold, we have had a lot of women who are serving right now in Srinagar, right now in the LWE-infested Chhattisgarh, from where I come from. And I must say that they are doing a wonderful job. And the women who are holding themselves back, please don't do that. It's on you.
Don't hold yourself back. And let me take that point across to Colonel Sophia Qureshi as well. And like we just heard there from Sonal Mishra, Colonel Qureshi has also served in the Northeast. She served in Punjab. She's also been part of the UN mission, the UN peacekeeping force as well, and played a crucial role there. Colonel Qureshi, as you look at your journey, at your own journey, what have been the big lessons and the learnings for you? And what is it, like we heard here from Sonal, that you would like to leave to the women who are watching, to parents who are watching, to brothers and fathers who are watching, because that's an important message to send out?
Jai Hind, everyone. Firstly, I would like to convey sincere thanks to everyone for giving this opportunity to speak at Nari Shakti. If you ask me, I belong to a warrior family, so it was in my genes, and I wanted to don the uniform. And believe me, Indian Army is the best organization one can have. It gives you an opportunity to surmount any kind of difficulties, and I'm lucky and privileged to serve the nation with honor and pride. Today, when I joined the Army as a lieutenant, I remember I was a part of the division during the Oprakram. So what my company commander told me, Sophia, if you want to earn the salute, then you have to work sincerely. Believe me, I have earned the salute and also earned the commendation card during the Oprakram. It was all because of the good mentoring I had that time. And if you ask the challenges, I would like to highlight one incident when I was in Congo. And since you all know, the Indian Army is the largest troop contributing country in the United Nations. And I was the second batch of women officer, and I had a privilege to be part of one of the operation, which we conducted during the historical presidential elections. So I was a part of the one cordon and search team. It was a melange of force from the Swedish Army, from Tunisia, from Uruguay, and we led that cordon and search operation. We did it whole night. It took 72 hours, but it was successful. We could save the life of local populations. And next day, the force commander asked me who was that lady from the Indian Army. I think that gives me the pleasure. The people talk about the Indian Army, not Colonel Sophia Qureshi. So such incidents happened in my life, and I had a privilege to command the contingent at ASEAN nations. I was the only woman officer among 22 nations. So I'm also thankful to my organization for giving me this opportunity. I was lucky that I was with the Sonal ma'am in Northeast, where I was again privileged to mentor the first batch of women military police soldiers. And there we worked together in many of the operations and work. And lastly, you all know that I'm a full colonel today, and I'm commanding the unit. I'm from the first batch of women officer. So salute to my organization that I've got a chance to command.
Well, a salute
Thank
to
you so
each
much.
one of you. A salute to each one of you. As you said, it's your pleasure and your privilege to work for the organization, and it is our pride to have you here this evening and share your stories with us. Squad leader Sindhu Reddy. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you were watching the Bastille Day parade on your TV screens. Many people were, but if you were, then you watched squadron leader Sindhu Reddy leading the Indian contingent, taking center stage there, leading a team of 60 plus officers. What was that feeling like for you? And also, Squadron Leader Reddy, you know, you've now been part of the Indian Air Force for over a decade now, little over a decade now. What's this journey been like for you?
So, giving the salute to the Prime Minister on the Champs-Élysées and on the French National Day especially tops my list of achievements as of now, definitely. You know, carrying the might of the entire force that was behind me and being there, leading my contingent, it gave me all that power, it gave me all that strength that I can do it. If somebody else can do it, then definitely I can do it as well. I have everything in me.
So what was going on in your head the previous night, just before you actually had to lead the contingent? You know, was there an internal dialogue in trying to deal with the pressure and the nerves? I'm sure that's part of it.
Oh yes, definitely. I almost had a nervous breakdown thinking that, you know, I actually didn't realize I was going to be the first woman marching on the foreign land until, you know, that moment when I realized I almost had a nervous breakdown. I'm like, oh wow, this is news to me. But yes, of course, my training and the way we've been preparing for that parade for almost about a month or so, it put me in a place where, you know, come what may, I have done this before, so I can do it. So that is a confidence I could carry with myself, and I always, always, I had the support of my contingent. So when you have the support and when you have the might and you have your own strength, nothing is unbeatable. So that is the message that we wanted to deliver, and it was delivered in the right sense,
It was delivered across the country and across the world, people who were watching. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Squadron Leader Reddy for leading the Indian contingent. But you know, that was on the ground. What about up in the air when you're actually flying? What has that internal dialogue been, and what's the external dialogue also been? When you actually started to fly, what was the reaction and the response?
So my dream has always been to fly, and when I was going to join the Air Force, I realized what better way to do it than to don the uniform, the pride, the respect, and you know, fly for the nation. So that's how I entered the forces, and I chose to be a helicopter pilot because I wanted to be in close connect with all my troops and all humans on ground, because that is what helicopters finally do. You provide aid to the forward forces, you also provide aid to, you know, our civil countrymen whenever they need rescue. So that has been the highlight moment of my career. Every time, you know, I was able to help our troops with logistic support or any kind of support, and they send you back definitely with a, you know, a box of fruits, if nothing, from the forward post as well. You know, coming back, landing in the base and looking at those boxes, it used to give me, it used to make me teary-eyed. You know, when they had no resources, they had to thank you somehow because you provided something to them. So those moments are definitely something that I've lived for. And also when I could, you know, in my own capacity, provide some rescue mission, some assistance to the rescue missions during the flood reliefs and all that. So people used to come literally thank you. I mean, that feels like a really important moment and the most, you know, the highlight of my career, I would say.
Absolutely. So, and fruits as a way of expressing gratitude. What can be better than that? But Dr. Seema Rao, let me come to you. And again, for those of you who may not be familiar with Dr. Rao's work, she's often called the Wonder Woman. She has many firsts to her credit. She is India's first female Special Forces trainer, having trained the Special Forces for over 2 decades, and she's an expert in close quarter combat. Dr. Rao, I want to understand from you, what made you want to do this, and what has the learning and the lesson been for you over the past 2 decades of doing this?
Well, let me start by saying that destiny had something really different for me. I started as a doctor, but eventually destiny took me to training commandos of the Indian forces. It's been a 25-year-long journey, and a journey, I should say, of glory and strife. I've had to work hard on my physical prowess because, after all, standing in front of highly trained and skilled commandos is no joke. And, but when I had to, teach them certain techniques, it was obviously a challenge to me. But I took it in my stride. Every day was a challenge, but I would hone up my skills and I would see that I would give my best. And at the end of the day, when I would get the respect of those male trainees, I train men. So, so when I would get the respect of the male trainees, I think the male commandos, it was very satisfying to me because for me, this was a selfless service to the country.
Yeah.
And I was doing it because of probably the patriotic blood that ran through my veins. My dad was a freedom fighter. Nevertheless, I think it was a wonderful journey.
Yeah.
And I will never forget, the respect that I earned, the satisfaction that I gained out of training them in close quarter battle.
We're going to see Dr. Rao show us what she's actually been doing over the past 25 years. So you'll see that in action in just a second. But Vice Admiral Arora, I want to get wrap-up comments from each one of you. What is it that you would like to say to young women who are watching, as I said, to parents who are watching as well, and to the armed forces to ensure that we do have a much more gender-balanced organization going forward, and people don't have to go through the challenges that you went through?
Well, I would like to say one thing to all the young, women of our country and to the parents. Armed Forces is a wonderful organization. It gives so much of respect to the woman, and I think if you ask me, I always say, even if I have to repeat my life, I would still go and join the Armed Forces. But I've got only one advice, I will say advice or whatever it may take. It gives you so much of respect and opportunities. At the same time, we should also remember, as a woman, that it's not only our privileges what we should be looking for, we should also remember our responsibilities.
Yeah.
So responsibilities towards the organization. We have to change, not change, get used to that life. It's very difficult for the organization to change according to your vision.
Absolutely.
So we should all get married into the organization, enjoy this thing. They are there to look after you. So you don't have to regret at all. And so I wish everybody all the best, all the young girls who want to join armed forces. I will say they'll take you with an open arms, look after you, but you have to remember your responsibility.
Absolutely. Sonal, very, very quickly, the one thing that you would like to say to people, once you already said don't hold yourself back, what else? You'll have to use the mic.
I'll say within the organization, we must have more women at the right levels to give the right perspective of a woman's need. And as an organization, maybe at every level, there has to be a little more understanding of the requirements. As ma'am said, there can be different requirements at different times for a woman, but she has to put in her best. And she has to put in her double. And in police, when we were young, we got that lesson saying that you don't have any opportunity to fail,
Yeah.
We don't have that chance. You have to succeed every time.
Yes.
So I think it's both ways for an organization as well as for us.
Absolutely.
Organization to be a little more accommodative and understanding as to what she needs at what time, and she may need certain things in certain times.
Right.
Maybe maternity leave, as ma'am said. But then when she comes back, yes, you are full on and you have to give in your best.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Colonel Qureshi.
Would you like to give me a message to the kids?
Yes.
I would like to give you a few rules for the kids, especially new generation baby boomers. Remember, whatever you do, nation should be first and selfless service. Secondly, be bold, brave, and dynamic. Be disciplined. Be courageous. Have your own legacy. Create your own destiny. Manage time. Every one of us 24 hours. It only makes a difference of 3 to 4 hours when you play mobile or do something else. So manage your time, which is very important. And lastly, remember, you have to think about the country first. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Squad Leader Reddy, your message.
So yeah, I'm very thankful for my organization in a way that Indian Air Force has opened its door for all streams for women. So that way, if any young woman, any young girl wants to join the forces, I will say opportunities are plenty. Like, don't think that there's no opportunity. Even if it is not there, it will be made. If you have the determination, if you have the grit, it will be made. So if you want it, just go for it. Don't hold yourself back.
Well, don't hold yourself back. Dr. Rao, I'm not going to let you speak. I'm going to get you to do something for us. But ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause and a big salute to each one of them for joining us here this evening. Thank you so very much for showing us what a life in the forces is and what the opportunities are for women who are looking at a career in the forces. Thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Dr. Rao, I would request you to stay on because we're now going to see her in action.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Shireen, I'd also request you to felicitate all the ladies here on the stage. A huge round of applause for these super achievers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here with us. And as Shireen has already teased for all of you, Dr. Rao has a special something that's planned for everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts because what you are about to see now is going to be very exciting stuff. Dr. Rao is coming out. She's just getting out of her panel clothes and getting into her combat gear. So she's going to be giving us a very brief demonstration of what close combat is really about. So you don't want to miss this. Please do take your seats while we get Dr. Rao back out and we clear the stage so that she can do what she does and what she's been doing for over 25 years, ladies and gentlemen. As we pointed out, she is the first woman who has trained the Special Forces, and she's going to be showing us what she does. Dr. Rao, if you're ready, we're ready for you.
Yeah, sure. Come on. First and foremost, a very good evening to everybody. I read long back a quote which influenced my mind. The me I think is the me I'll be. I read one more quote which influenced my life. Life is tough, darling, and so are you. My journey in commando training was a very long journey, 25 years past. Then I realized that I wanted to empower women. So I devised a program called DARE, Defense to Assault, Rape, and Eve Teasing. So I'm going to be talking about that. To start with, I'm going to read a few statistics which are very astonishing. The crimes against women, 50 per hour, 5 lakh per year. The rapes, 3 per hour, 30,000 per year. And kidnappings, 2 per hour, 1 lakh per year. Now, this is extremely astonishing statistics, and that's why I came up with this program. Let me first try to make it very clear that there is a distinct difference between eve teasing, molesting, assault, and rape. Eve teasing and molesting requires a minimum response. The response should be a slap, maybe a threat. Assault and rape requires an aggressive response. And when I say aggressive, I mean that you need to hit the vital targets in a man's body. You need to be using anything and everything around you which you can take and whack him, hit him on his head, hit him on his joints. So there has to be a very aggressive response for rape as well as for assault, and a minimum response for eve teasing as well as molesting. I'm going to not take too much time talking. I'm going to go straight to a demonstration. Anand, can you come here? This is going to be an eve teasing response first. So here we go. I'm walking on the street. What you need to do here is, do not take your eyes away, do not stare too long, just give him a firm look and move away. The second thing, we go on to, what's the next one? Lewd gestures is the second thing. So I pass from here again.
Oh, baby doll! Aha, Miss India figure hai.
No!
Beautiful.
No, stop. And move past. The third response is grabbing the wrist.
Baby, आती क्या खंडाला? चल आना.
No, पुलिस को बुलाऊंगी. Bus. And you move away. Now we go on to the next response, that is to, can you tell me, Anand, what it is? To an assault. It's going to be a demonstration on vital strikes, the vital areas in the body. So the first is the eyes. Flick the eyes, hit hard. The second one being the nose. Hit the nose with the palm heel. Third one being the ears. Here. It can cause the eardrum to break. The next one is the throat. So I squeeze here the throat. In this case, one finger in the notch, the other one on the Adam's apple, and I squeeze hard. The next would be the groin. So for the groin, it could be a groin kick or simply a flick hard. I'm showing it on the thigh, it's actually done on the groin. And after that, you have the shin kick. So a front kick done to the shin. The shin is a bone here, very superficial. So I kick hard. And that's it. We go on next. Okay, so now these are techniques of, yeah. So go on. So the first one being a hair grab.
बहुत शाना बन रही है तू. बहुत शाना बन रही है. चल दिखाता हूँ मैं तुझे.
What's the next one? The next one is a choke done to your throat.
गर्दन दबाऊंगा तेरा मैं. गर्दन दबाऊंगा.
Stand up. The next one. This is a slap.
चले. शाना बन रही है.
So you keep slapping him to submission. Next one. Okay. The next thing that we're covering up is molestation. Here in this case, first thing, groping the breast, very common. 1 minute. Start.
ब्यूटीफुल, सेक्सी, अभी मजा आएगा मुझे, मजा आएगा।
You have to push the hand away and attack. Next one. Circular swoop. So I'm standing here.
ओ सेक्सी, बेबी डॉल, चल ना मेरे साथ।
Next one. Okay. This is when you're being bear hugged from behind.
चलो डार्लिंग, चलो मेरे साथ।
The hands are trapped. Stand. Okay. This way. I'm walking. Come on.
डार्लिंग चल ना, पिक्चर देखेंगे साथ में। चलो डार्लिंग।
Stand. I'm also going to be talking about how to respond to rape, but that will be after some time. We go on to a weapon. Now first, let me just give you a short talk on how to deal with a weapon. You have a weapon which is a blunt weapon or a sharp weapon. A blunt weapon can be a bait and stick. A sharp weapon can be a knife. The first thing that you need to understand is defensive or offensive. Defensive is you take anything that's close to you, a newspaper, maybe an empty bottle, or maybe a bag that you have, and the attacking hand has to be hit.
ये चाकू देख, घुसा दूंगा अंदर, देख इसको।
So I've used the newspaper on his wrist. Next one. Have a bottle. Get fast. Now I'm going to be using an empty bottle. This is a stick. Okay.
सर फोड़ दूंगा तेरा मैं, सर फोड़ दूंगा।
So you have to hit the wrist so that he drops the weapon. Go on next. Now it is what to do when somebody is going to attack you with a knife.
चाकू देख, अभी घुसाऊंगा, देख।
Next. Straight forward.
सर फोड़ दूंगा तेरा मैं, सर फोड़ दूंगा।
Stand. Now let me talk about acid attacks. It's a very common situation these days. How do you deal with an acid attack? It's the rule of A, B, C, D, E. First, A stands for clearing of the airways. That is to see that the acid doesn't enter you through your nose or through your mouth into your respiratory tract. Second, B. Remember, acids could be liquid, they could also be powders. So B stands for brush off the powder from your body. Third is C. C stands for whichever areas of your clothes have been drenched in the acid, take your clothes off. Next, D. D stands for dilution. The acid needs to be diluted with lots and lots and lots of water. And lastly, E stands for emergency, in the sense that you have to call for an ambulance and take the person to the hospital. So first, do it. So here he comes. I'm standing innocently. So first and foremost, the nose, mouth, do not scrub. Okay? After that, get water. I have nobody else but Anand to get the water for me right now. Okay. I brushed off. Okay? Take the clothes off. Finally, you have water. Pour it. Keep pouring. More water, more water, more water. Just keep pouring it on the area. And finally, the last thing would be to go to the hospital. Okay. Next. Now I will be going on to the rape sequence. So I need to get this off me.
चल मेरे साथ चल अभी दिखाता हूँ चल 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 नीचे चलो अभी दिखा रहा हूँ मैं हाँ सारा बन रही है
That causes a person to go unconscious. We're going to squeeze the carotid arteries here and then move. Next. Now we're just going to, I think self-defense is very important for women. My daughter went to Germany for a fight in a cage against a female competitor. Unfortunately, her competitor did not come. What my daughter did, I told her simply, just select any male contestant over there and fight him. She did exactly that. And she's one of the very few women who's beaten up a man in a cage in Germany. So like I mentioned, fighting self-defense is important. I'm going to just show a small snippet of how to do it. Does it does? It's always good if you have protective gear, because otherwise you will end up injuring yourself a lot. an elbow break. So lastly, let me just say one thing. It's important to the woman comes to the fight. You can take care of herself. Also remember, to all the men here, never underestimate the power of a woman. To all the women here, together we stand strong. So be strong, do not feel victimized, and fight your best. Make the best of your life. You have one life. Do not get deterred by your gender. One last statement. Maya Angelou, an American civil activist, said once, I like to see a girl go out and hold the world by its lapels. Life is tough. You gotta kick ass.
Dr. Rao, thank you so very much for demonstrating the power and the strength of a woman. You know, I have to say I had mixed feelings watching you do that, because at many levels I was angry. I was feeling frustrated, angry about the fact that we still have to deal with this, that women cannot walk on the streets without having to feel like they have somebody trying to stalk them, or just a sense of insecurity and a lack of safety and feeling vulnerable constantly. I hope we create a world, I hope we create spaces, public spaces specifically, where women feel safe, where women can reclaim public spaces. I think that is also equally important. While self-defense is important, but all of us, civil society, the government, all stakeholders need to ensure that we create public spaces that are safer for women.
We need to make spaces where men feel safe.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Rao, thank you very, very much for joining us here this evening. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rao and Shireen Bhan. Thank you so much.
और अब बारी है हमारे अगले सेशन की, जो कि है नीति शक्ति। शारीरिक शक्ति बाहरी तौर पर मजबूती दे सकती है, लेकिन आत्मशक्ति भी उतनी ही ज़रूरी है। आत्मशक्ति समाज और देश को न सिर्फ बाहरी बल्कि आंतरिक तौर पर भी ताकतवर बनाती है। ये बात उन बेमिसाल शी शक्तियों से बेहतर आखिर कौन जान सकता है, जो देश को बुलंदियों तक पहुंचाने में अपनी बेशकीमती भूमिका निभा रही हैं। करीब 15 लाख महिलाएं ज़मीनी स्तर से लेकर संसद तक राजनीति में सक्रिय हैं। ये वो सम्माननीय शी शक्ति हैं जिनकी आत्मशक्ति ने ज्ञान शक्ति की ऐसी ज्योत जलाई जिसे बुझाया नहीं जा सकता।
And today we shine a spotlight on women who are shaping policy and governance. Women who have assumed pivotal roles in shaping India's future from the grassroots to the parliament. With immense pride, we present to you the brilliant minds behind the nation's economic, bureaucratic, and academic landscape. But let me first request our colleague Chandra Shikrant to please come up on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shamika Ravi, a distinguished member of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. Ms. Pranjal Patil, the first visually impaired IAS officer in the country. Remember, she is also the district magistrate in Shahadra, New Delhi. Babita, a sarpanch from Jammu and Kashmir's Laddu. And the accomplished Sanyogita Singh Chauhan, who is also a sarpanch from the Atari Gram Panchayat, and she is also an MBA, ladies and gentlemen. These remarkable stories, we are hoping, will be inspiring and illuminating the path forward. Over to you, Chandra.
Thank you for that. What a day it's been. And, you know, I hope the previous session, it gave me a lot to think about, and hopefully lessons in self-defense that I never have to use. But thank you all very much for joining us on this session on Niti Shakti, because it's vital that there are more women in policy-making roles at the grassroots level, at the upper echelons. You know, each of them has a very remarkable story as the anchors introduce them. I'm going to start with Pranjal Patil ji here, right here. She's an IAS officer, and you know what's remarkable is she's the country's first visually impaired IAS officer. She's currently the district magistrate for the Shadara region in New Delhi. A huge round of applause for her. She's here, you know, by sheer grit and perseverance. She gave the UPSC exams twice, cleared it with a very good rank, and cleared it without any coaching at all. Pranjal, you know, share your experience with us. What motivated you to take up civil services? And, you know, how do you go about being a district magistrate? How did you go about being a sub-collector in your previous role at Thiruvananthapuram?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me here. And I think all of us like have some ideas in our childhood that, you know, what our interest areas are. And we may not know it very clearly. So I was always inclined towards something social, and you know, history was also my favorite subject. So I always wanted to do something, and I really didn't know how to go about it. So only when I went to college, I got to know that there are something called civil services, and I felt that, oh, it's something little closer to what I want to do. And obviously, it's not like when I got to know, right away I started doing it, because some basic academic has to be pursued. So I did my college. Then for higher studies, I came to Delhi, to JNU to study. And only after my master's and MPhil, I could get that courage and conviction and time and enough understanding of you know, the exam and the preparation. So I started preparing for it, and though it was not very easy journey, I think no journey is easy, no matter what background we come from. No journey is easy, but you know, with enough like with inner determination and external support, we all can do what we want. And I think yeah, all credit goes to like my own determination and the support I received from family, friends and teachers and everyone. Thank you.
That's a very inspiring story. We also have two sarpanchs or pradhans in our midst. Babita ji, who is a sarpanch, a Kashmiri Pandit, a sarpanch in Jammu and Kashmir, and Sanyogita Singh Chauhan ji, who is a sarpanch at Atari village in Lucknow. बबीता जी, आप बताइए सरपंच कैसे बने आप और क्या अनुभव रहा है आपकी?
सबसे पहले मेरा सबको नमस्कार।
माइक इधर थोड़ा, हाँ।
मैं सरपंच पुलवामा से हूँ। तो कैसे बनी, ये तो बहुत चुनौतियों का सामना करना पड़ा, क्योंकि हम विस्थापित लोग हैं। रामचंद्र जी का 14 साल का वनवास ख़त्म हो गया, बट हमारा वनवास अभी ख़त्म नहीं हुआ। तो उस चुनौती का सामना शुरुआत हमने की, कश्मीरी पंडितों ने की। हम दोबारा से कश्मीर गए और इलेक्शन में उतरे, क्योंकि उस टाइम क्या था कि सभी पार्टियों ने चुनाव लड़ने से इनकार कर दिया था। तो सबसे पहले सामना हमारा ही हुआ, क्योंकि ख़तरे में आगे हमने ही होना था। तो हमने सोचा कि हम लड़ेंगे इलेक्शन, तो हमने लड़ा, हम जीते। तो आज बहुत अच्छे से चल रही है हमारी सरपंची।
आपको धमकी मिलती है पुलवामा में?
देखिए, धमकियाँ, कश्मीर है तो धमकियाँ ना मिले तो वो तो हो ही नहीं सकता। घाटी है। अभी आपने सुना होगा, हमारे आर्मी ऑफिस कह रहे थे कि जब कश्मीर का आता है कि कश्मीर पोस्टिंग, ओ गॉड हो जाता है ना। तो चुनौतियों का सामना तो करना ही पड़ता है, और जब नारी शक्ति है तो फिर हमारे सामने चुनौती तो कोई नहीं है।
सही बात है। हाँ। Sayogita ji, you're an MBA by training, and then you decided to become a sarpanch at Atari village. आपके एक्सपीरियंस के बारे में बताइए, आपको इंटरेस्ट कैसे हुई पब्लिक पॉलिसी में, पॉलिटिक्स में?
जी, नमस्कार सभी को। हम यूपी से हैं और लखनऊ डिस्ट्रिक्ट, मलिहाबाद तहसील लगती है, माल ब्लॉक, अटारी ग्राम पंचायत। मलिहाबाद मैंगो बेल्ट, ग्रीन बेल्ट घोषित है, और MBA करने के बाद एक 6 महीने ही जॉब कर पाए थे कि शादी हो गई, एक ब्रेक आ गया। और बचपन से ही मन था कुछ करने के लिए, और ग्रामीण विकास में शुरू से ही रुचि थी। रूरल इंडिया में या हम लोगों का ननिहाल, ददिहाल सब गांव से जुड़ा था, तो गांव में काम करने की इच्छा बहुत थी। तो ससुराल में भी गांव से जुड़ाव था। शादी बिजनेस क्लास फैमिली में हुई, ज़मींदारों में हुई। हमारा गांव था, तो हमें इच्छा हुई कि हमें सरपंच बनना है और सरपंच बन के गाँव की सेवा और आसपास के गांव में भी शिक्षा का भी एक जोत जलाना है, क्योंकि यूपी में लिटरेसी रेट बहुत कम है और पढ़े लिखे लोग ज़्यादातर शहर की ओर भागते हैं। तो ऐसा लगा कि गांव की तरफ हम अगर काम करेंगे तो कुछ दे पाएंगे, कुछ कर पाएंगे, क्योंकि ये एक अनटैप्ड एरिया है। और यूपी में काम करना, जहाँ महिला प्रधान तो होती है पर काम प्रधान पति करते हैं। तो ये जो प्रधान पति का कल्चर है, ये चेंज करना था। एक रिवोल्यूशन मन में था कि एक जुनून था कि कुछ करना है। तो ये चुनाव लड़े और चुनाव भारी संख्या में जीते। लोगों का समर्थन था और बहुत सारे वादे भी किए थे कि जो गांव में या आसपास के गांव में जो नहीं हुआ है वो करके दिखाएंगे। तो जब चुनाव जीतने के बाद एक बहुत बड़ी गांव में खुली बैठक का आयोजन किया, क्योंकि इससे पहले खुली बैठकें या महिला बैठक, वृद्ध बैठक या बाल बैठक, ऐसे कुछ कॉन्सेप्ट था ही नहीं कि कैसे कार्य योजना बनती है, कैसी बैठकें होती हैं। तो ऐसा, और वो भी महिला एक बैठक का आयोजन करे, क्योंकि पुरुष बैठक करते हैं और पुरुष ही पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं। क्योंकि गांव में ऐसा कल्चर होता है, पर्दा होता है, तो महिलाएं जल्दी आगे नहीं आती हैं। और क्योंकि ठाकुरों के परिवार से हैं, तो ठाकुरों में तो ज़्यादातर वो महिला का पीछे ही रहती हैं, घर के अंदर ही रहती हैं। तो ये कॉन्सेप्ट बदलना था। तो खुली बैठक करी, महिलाओं को ज़्यादातर करके बुलाया कि आप सब आइए, कि आपकी महिला प्रधान है और आपका प्रतिनिधित्व हम कर रहे हैं, और आपसे पूछ के हम कार्य योजना बनाएंगे, जीपीडीपी बनाएंगे कि आप गांव में क्या चाहती हैं, कैसा माहौल चाहती हैं। तो महिलाओं से उनसे उनकी राय ली और उनके हिसाब से जो भी उन्होंने कहा कि पानी से संबंधित उनको जो चुनौतियां थीं उनके विषय में, या उनको उनकी सुरक्षा को लेके, सब चीज़ों को लेके हमने अपनी कार्य योजना साल भर की बनाई और धीरे धीरे करके वो सब चीज़ें इम्प्लीमेंट करी। जो उन्होंने कहा वो हमने 2 साल में ही करके दिखाया। हमारे गाँव में पिछली प्रधानी में ऐसा सब कुछ नष्ट सा हो गया था, कुछ सब जर्जर भवन थे सारे सरकारी। तो हमने एनएम सेंटर, हेल्थ एंड वेलनेस सेंटर, अपने ग्राम पंचायत में 8 कमरों का पंचायत भवन, जो कि सपना था, 2 कमरों के पंचायत भवन होते थे। पानी की टंकी, जल जीवन मिशन का वो चल रहा था, तो हम उसको अपने गांव में लेके आए। अपनी एजुकेशन का फ़ायदा गांव तक पहुंचाना था, तो हर घर को नल से जोड़ा। जो हैंडपम्प के लिए या कुएं तक महिलाएं जाती थीं, तो वो सुविधा उनको दी। और अपने यहाँ जलाशय, क्योंकि उनको ऐसा था कि जल संरक्षण पे भी हमें काम करना था, तो आंगनवाड़ी केंद्रों में, पंचायत भवन में, स्कूलों में वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग कॉन्सेप्ट और जलाशयों का निर्माण किया। एक नहीं, 3 जलाशयों का उस पे काम किया और जल संरक्षण का काम अपने यहाँ किया। और महिलाओं को आत्मबल और साहस हमसे मिला। और आसपास के गांवों में भी ऐसा एक जज्बा जगा, क्योंकि हमारे आसपास के, जो अटारी के आसपास 200-300 गाँव में ऐसी कोई महिला नहीं थी कि जो अपनी प्रधानी खुद कर रही थी। और उन प्रधानों के यूनियन के भी अध्यक्ष हम बने। और सब मेल, जब हम कोई भी बैठक करते थे प्रधानों की, तो सारे मेल प्रधान आते थे। 33% रिजर्वेशन था, पर महिला नहीं आती थी। तो उस बैठक को भी हम ही सब मेल के बीच में एक महिला प्रधान, और उन्होंने हमें अध्यक्ष के रूप में स्वीकार किया, तो ये बड़ी बात थी। उसके बाद सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स, जो स्वयं सहायता समूह, अपने गांव में 19 स्वयं सहायता समूह बनाए। उनको पशुपालन से, कृषि के कामों से, जो दुकान करना चाहते थे उनको उस चीज़ों से जोड़ा और उनको स्वावलंबी बनाया।
Right. Huge round of applause for all the measures she's implemented as, Sarpanch. And I think she sort of saw it from a women's lens, right? The difficulties they have in terms of even fetching water. And she decided to do something about that. Shamika, you've had a very different arc compared to some of the women we've been speaking to. Has it been easier to break the glass ceiling in the world of economics and high finance, because you have role models abroad, you have role models in India, you know, from Janet Yellen to Christine Lagarde to Geeta Gopinath, and in India you've had deputy governors of the RBI, leading bankers. How was your arc, you know, to becoming a member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council?
Well, first of all, I just want to introduce you to, you know, the two ladies you just heard. There is a term we use in research. These are political entrepreneurs. You need these kind of people on the ground to bring about the change which you are envisioning. So, you, Amrit Kal ka jo aap baar sunte hain, I want to be a little forward-looking, Chandra. This is not going to happen on its own. It's not going to happen from Delhi. If this country has to emerge as a developed country, you need political entrepreneurs on the ground. Now, let me tell you a little bit, tying into my own story. I'm a professor of economics. I do research and I teach. And now I don't get much time to teach, but I do research. When I came back to India in 2004-05, I was doing work in development finance and other kinds of issues. But you know, the more research I did in India, using Indian data, working with Indian institutions, I realized that any aspect of data, research, eventually gender does emerge. It was not like I went out looking for women's issues, but gender just emerges as a very important part of research and policy making in India. So let me tell you, entire development finance, this whole microfinance revolution that we've had in the last 30 years, or even PMJDY now that the government is part, it's overwhelmingly concentrated on women. Right? That's from the finance side of things. Because when you empower financially women, the household does well. The children's height and weight does better. Girls typically study more. And so there are many societal impacts. So there is a gender component. Jab health dekhna shuru kiya, then you realize that, you know, in some of our best hospitals, most patients, female patients are missing. Meaning women are not coming to hospitals. Now, these are very summary, simple things to look at, but these are very disturbing findings. It's not the cost of healthcare, because we're talking about AIMS, jahan pe 2 million patients come every year. So you have massive amount of data. The minute you start looking at it, you realize, arey, women kahan hai? So you see the concept of missing women, even in terms of seeking healthcare, these begin to emerge. Then we did a research almost 15 years back, which we called a silent revolution. Without a policy push, you are seeing assembly to parliament, constituency after constituency across the country. Women voters are coming out and voting more and more. This silent revolution, you should understand it now. It has transformed the political space of India. And because it has, no political party can ignore women anymore. And I can tell you 10 years back, we would not be saying this. So this is a silent revolution, because when there is a surge of women voters, policies therefore begin to respond to women.
I think we saw this play out in UP, right? There was a lot of analysis on...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, not just UP, right? It is happening in your most developed, richest states. It is happening in the poorest states. It is happening in the remote states. So you are seeing the resurgence of women, and women voters drive a lot of the development agenda in the country, and political parties are responding to that.
Right.
So I think it was mostly the research, Chandra, and the commitment. When you see something happen, and it is empirically true of the nation, it's a very exciting time to be in India and to be involved in the policy making space.
Right.
Because next 25 years is transformational for this country. So you want to be part of it. So I made this small leap from full-time academic to now full-time policy.
We're glad you did. Political entrepreneurs बताया आपको, क्या आप अपने आप को उस जरिए से देखते हैं कि आप political entrepreneurs हैं?
जी बिल्कुल, अपने आप को हम देखते हैं, क्योंकि अपने देश का विकास, राष्ट्र का विकास गांव से ही संभव है। और प्रधानमंत्री जी का भी विजन है कि हर चीज़ गाँव से, क्योंकि अपना एग्रीकल्चर बेस्ड हम लोग कंट्री हैं, तो गाँव से बहुत कुछ संभव है। हम लोग गाँव को, हमने उनको शौचालय से पहले शौचालय तक नहीं इस्तेमाल करना वहाँ गाँव में होता था, तो वो आवास, शौचालय, धीरे धीरे प्रोग्रेसिव गाँव, हमें गाँव को शहर नहीं बनाना, गाँव को एक विकसित गाँव बनाना है, समृद्ध गाँव बनाना है। तो उस दिशा में काम करने के लिए एक विजन चाहिए होता है, एक जुनून चाहिए होता है, और कुछ काम करने की उस रूरल इंडिया में ऐसे लोगों की भी ज़रूरत है जो ज़मीन से जुड़ के काम करें, क्योंकि पॉलिसी मेकिंग अगर हम किसी ऐसी कमरे में बैठ के करें और वहीं ग्रास रूट लेवल पे जब हम पॉलिसी बनाते हैं और उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं, तो उससे उसमें ज़मीन आसमान का अंतर आता है कि योजनाएं बहुत होती हैं, योजनाओं को गांव तक पहुंचाना, उनको अवेयर करना गांव के लोगों को, और उनको फिर इम्प्लीमेंट करना, उनकी सुविधा वो ले सकें जी। तो ये काम हम लोग कर सकते हैं ग्राउंड पे।
बबीता जी।
देखिए, अपने कार्यों से साथ साथ हमें पॉलिटिकल का भी चलाना है। पहले औरतें सियासत में नहीं होती थी, मगर सियासत ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि हमसे ज़्यादा सियासत तो आदमी लोग खेल जाते हैं। तो इसलिए सियासत में उतरना तो यही एक मिशन था कि उससे पहले ग्राउंड लेवल वर्कर बन जाऊं। मैं पहले ग्राउंड लेवल वर्कर थी। 2008 में मेरी जर्नी शुरू हुई थी, मैं बीजेपी में थी, तो तब मैं नॉर्मल वर्कर थी। तो 2018 में मैंने इलेक्शन लड़ा, उसके बाद में मैं सरपंच बनी, सरपंच से ही मैं ज़िला अध्यक्ष बनी बीजेपी की महिला मोर्चा की, और आज मैं उपाध्यक्ष हूँ स्टेट की जेके यूटी की महिला मोर्चा की। तो मेरा बस यही है, मतलब मेरा मिशन यही है कि औरतों को जितना हो सके, इन बहनों को, कि सक्षम बन जाएं, सक्षम बन जाएं, क्योंकि हमारी जो विडोज़ हैं, हमारी जो डाइवर्सी औरतें हैं, कुछ गरीब हैं, कुछ लाचार हैं, कुछ हैंडीकैप्स हैं, उनके लिए जो स्कीमें हैं हमारी सेंटर में, तो बहुत सारी स्कीमें हमारी लॉन्च हो रही हैं, मगर क्या है कि घर घर गांव-गांव तक अभी पहुंच नहीं पा रही हैं। इन चीज़ों से काफ़ी चीज़ें अभी दूर हैं। जैसे हैंडीकैप्स हैं, किसी घर में 4-4 बच्चे भी हैंडीकैप्स हैं, जो मैंने खुद देखे हैं। एक बच्चे 2 बच्चे को स्कीम का फ़ायदा देंगे, तीसरे को नहीं देंगे। तो उसके लिए हम भी कोशिश कर रहे हैं, मतलब मिशन के में उतरे हुए हैं कि ये स्कीमों का फ़ायदा जो है कि ऑलमोस्ट सबको मिले जी। अभी ओल्ड एज पेंशन जो चल रहे थे, वो चल रहा था, अभी बंद हो गया है। उसके लिए दोबारा से रजिस्ट्रेशन हो रही है, मगर अभी तक उनको 4-4, 5-5 महीने का ऑर्नामेंट नहीं मिला है। ऐसे कई स्कीमें हैं जो कि बंद हो चुकी हैं, हो रही हैं आस्ते-आस्ते से बंद। मगर चलिए, अब हमारा नारा, मोदी जी का नारा, मोदी है तो मुमकिन है, सब कुछ सही हो जाएगा। ऐसे ही मेरी जर्नी जो शुरू हुई है, मेरे हस्बैंड से हुई है। मेरे हस्बैंड बीएसएफ में जॉब करते थे, इन्होंने छत्तीसगढ़ में ड्यूटी की, उसके बाद में ये कश्मीर में आए, कश्मीर में 4 साल ड्यूटी की इन्होंने। तो उसी दौरान मैं सरपंच बन गई, तो इन्होंने वॉलंटरी रिटायरमेंट लेके मेरा साथ दिया, मुझे आगे बढ़ाया। ये गलत है, मतलब होता है, गलत भी नहीं है, होता है।
नहीं, सुनने में बहुत
हर औरत के पीछे आदमी का हाथ रहे तो औरत काफ़ी आगे बढ़ेगी। इसलिए मैं कहती हूँ, मोदी है तो मुमकिन है, हाँ, संजय है तो मुमकिन है, क्योंकि बबीता तभी आगे बढ़ी।
संजय कहाँ है वो? जी, उनके लिए भी तालियां बजनी चाहिए। बिहाइंड एवरी सक्सेसफुल। Pranjal ji, I want to understand from you, how did this affect the way you look at policies within your district? Being a woman, how did it influence you, first in Thiruvananthapuram and as district magistrate, now in terms of your priority areas and focus areas?
Yeah, I think getting to work at the district level, like the most local level in terms of administrative, from administrative perspective, it's a very great opportunity. It's in fact a learning opportunity, and it's very great because the efforts you put, you directly get to see the result. Sometimes we make policy and it takes time to get implemented, and then it takes even further time to see how it has impacted the intended section of the society. So at the district level, it has been my very special focus that you know how, like, of course now literacy level of our country has really gone high, and it's a very good development. But at the same time, we know that vocational competency, like young girls don't get as much as opportunities, you know, to develop themselves vocationally as their brothers or, you know, their classmates, male classmates must be getting. So in my district, there are a few institutes, they are vocational institutes. So I just focused on like how, you know, they will get more confidence to give interview, you know, to learn English, to learn basic computers, and how to, you know, how to talk in front of many people. And I'm very happy to share with all of you that their own teachers told me that their girls have done really wonderful in interviews, and they have got more placement than ever before.
Huge round of applause for that. Yeah.
So, and even in other sections, so I have observed one thing that though now children are going to school, and that's a wonderful thing, but you know, co-curricular activities and like an opportunity to learn like various forms of art is not available to all. Like it's still confined, you know, learning dance, learning music, learning craft is still confined to a particular section of our society, which has, you know, money and other resources. So we started in my district something called Kala Shakti, my art, my empowerment. And through that, we are teaching dance to girls, and they are learning Odissi dance. And 2 months back, in the month of May, girls of my district, they performed on the stage along with national awardee winner dancers. And yes, and these accomplished dancers actually remark that these girls are not at all like first time, you know, beginners. They are like already so smart, and their presence of mind is so good. So, and then also we are working on drugs. We are trying to have we are promoting sports so that our children develop, you know, team spirit, and they develop some purpose, some, you know, physical stamina, and they stay away from drugs. And in this way, there are many such initiatives we are able to take, and we can see direct results. So that's immense satisfaction to me and my team. Thank you.
Right. Huge round of applause for that. In fact, you know, I wish this is a discussion that we can stretch for some more time, because we're hearing so many brilliant examples of how governance, women at the helm of governance policy making, you know, can play a huge role. Thank you very much, all of you, Shamika Ravi ma'am, Sangyogita ji, Babita ji, and Pranjal ji, for sharing your experiences with us. And I hope this will spur more women in the area of governance and policy making. That's certainly the need of the hour. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. And Chandra, I'd request you to please hand over the mementos to the ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause to these inspiring ladies, the Niti Shaktis.
आप सभी का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। नीति शक्ति श्री शक्ति का एक बेहद अहम हिस्सा आने वाली पीढ़ियों को प्रेरित करने के लिए नेटवर्क 18 उन चुनिंदा श्री शक्तियों को सम्मानित कर रहा है, उनकी कहानियों को पूरे देश के साथ साझा कर रहा है, जिनके चलते हमारी लाखों करोड़ों महिलाओं को प्रेरणा मिल रही है। नया भारत सिनेमा में श्री शक्ति को पहचानता है और उस पहचान का सम्मान भी करता है। हालांकि इस सम्मान के हकदार वो उस पल से ही हैं जब से छोटे और बड़े पर्दे की शुरुआत हुई। ये भी सबसे बड़ा सच रहा कि कोई भी कहानी बिना श्री शक्ति के कभी पूरी नहीं हुई। लेकिन बदलते वक्त के साथ श्री शक्ति ने उस नजरिए को भी बदलने में कामयाबी हासिल की जिसमें उन्हें महज कहानी का हिस्सा माना जाता था, उसकी नींव नहीं।
Absolutely, and you guessed it right. This is the cinema Shakti that we have for you. The arm candy at that time and the damsel in distress has made way for the women-oriented films. While that move was a welcome step, branding cinema steered by a woman as niche didn't do as much justice to the talented drivers of the venture. But today, there's a whole lot of creative acumen of women in cinema and content who have reshaped the industry, led the charge, and driven narrative changes. They are the sheroes or the heroes, I must say, that India has begun to dote on. But before I invite a very special guest on the stage today, let me please invite our colleague Shireen Bhan back on the stage. And ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming the talented Shraddha Kapoor, who has proven time and again that she is an intrinsic part of cinema's evolving landscape.
Look at that. Look at the welcome that you just got, Shraddha Kapoor. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Shraddha Kapoor. Okay, are all the flying kisses done? And we're not even in Parliament. Please take a seat. Well, I can see that we've got a couple of tables full of your fans right here, Shraddha. But for those of you who haven't followed her career as closely as her fans have, let me very quickly take you through her journey so far. You've been in the industry for a little over 10 years now?
I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
Does it feel much longer?
Because, you know, sometimes it feels like, literally on every film, it feels like, okay, I've not done this aspect of being an actor, I've not done that aspect of being an actor. So every film feels like a debut in some way or the other. So my makeup artist and dear friend, Shraddha Nayak, who's also here, we, because she's been with me for the few years that I've been around, we keep fighting about who knows how many years it's actually been. So yes.
So what's the average that the two of you have arrived at between the both of you?
I think it's been about 12 years.
Yeah. So I was right. I said a little over 10 years. So you've spent a little over 10 years in the movie business. But you've grown up around the movie business. Your father is an actor. We just heard from your illustrious aunts, and of course your cousin is here within the hall as well watching you. So you've grown up around the movies. Did you ever consider wanting to do or be anything else, or this was it?
This was it, because this is what I grew up seeing in my household. I've grown up with the maternal side of my family predominantly, where I have my maushis, I have my grand aunt, I had my nana, who's was a very well-renowned classical musician. So I've grown up in a family of basically family members being in the creative arts. So for me, it's all that I knew. And it was a natural fit to get into the same field. But I have to say that, you know, when you're in school and a lot of people tell you ki, you know.
Oh my God, you really have a fan club right here in the room.
I mean, they're the best. You know, there's so much love that I get from my well-wishers and my fans. It just overwhelms me all the time. So I have to say that, for me, you guys threw me off track now.
You were narrating an incident from school.
And fully threw me off track. But I have to say that, see, I don't remember where I was at.
Should I switch the question? Okay, let's do a retake.
I mean, the only thing that should throw anybody off is love and adulation. So that's great.
Well, you know, I hope you continue to get as much love and adulation as you are getting this evening. But let me ask you this. Now you remember.
I remembered, okay? I'm not going to look there right now. But you know, जब हम school में जाते हैं and people tell you in school that अरे, if your family member is a doctor or any other field or an actor, you naturally have this rebellious side to you where you say, no, I'm not going to go into the same field. So I naturally had the same side to me where when people would tell me, you're going to be an actress, of course you're going to be an actress. And I'd be like, no, I'm not. But deep down, I always wanted to be. And it just organically happened that I developed a passion for it as well.
And you know, you've spent the last 12 years now doing what you love doing. But what I want to understand from you, Shraddha, is, and you know, as a young person, as a young woman specifically, getting into the movie business, even though you're familiar with it, you're comfortable with your environment, did you always feel the need that you needed to conform to what an actress is supposed to look like, how an actress is supposed to be? You know, was that always, did that constrain you, at least in the first few years, where it was hard for you to maybe express who you really were? Did you bring your authentic self to the set, or were you trying to play a part even in real life?
That's a very interesting question, and I have to say that the way that you think starts in your household. And your perspective to life and the way that you look at life starts at a very young age. So I feel so proud to say that I come from a household where my brother and I, we were treated equally. For us, I was never told कि अरे, you know, आपकी मासी एक औरत है और देखो उन्होंने क्या कामयाबी पाई है लाइफ में, औरत बन के उन्होंने कामयाबी पाई है. So that was never a thought in my household. It was, okay, my father has achieved great things for himself. My Masi has achieved great things for herself. You should also strive to be like that. So having been brought up in that manner, I have to share that when my first films didn't do well, there were a lot of people who were telling me that, oh, you know, as an actress, if your first two films don't do well, then you know, you will never get any films and you will, there were a lot of people around me who said that, but I did not have that in my household. And I feel like that was such a strong foundation for me. And a lot of my thinking came from the conversations that I've had at home. Be it, to answer your question, I would say that it wouldn't strike me that an actress has to be a certain way or has to behave a certain way, because I'm very happy that my foundation made me think very normally, very differently, that it applies to both genders.
Yeah, and how much of that has impacted the choices that you've made when we talk about the roles that you've done and the movies that you've decided to take on? And I'll ask you this in the context of Stree, and I don't know how many of you remember, but I believe that there's a Stree 2 coming as well. But for you to play a ghost, and a ghost that preys on men, I mean, not too many women would have, would have wanted to play that part. So how much of the choices that you make in terms of the parts that you accept in the movies that you take on is conscious and deliberate, and how much of it is just organic?
You know, I don't think I've spoken about this when we were promoting Stree, but there was a very, I'm actually very grateful to my director, Amar Kaushik, and my producer, Dinesh Vijan. I'll tell you why. Because when Stree was offered to me, they offered it to me as a cameo. They offered it to me as a special appearance. And I just was so amazed and so entertained with the premise of the film being about having a larger social message in an entertaining manner, that I requested them that, you know, can I be a part of the cast, and actually, can this not be a special appearance? I don't want to feel that this is a special appearance. And they completely agreed to that.
Well, it changed the whole movie then.
And I feel like for me to be a part of that, to be the front runner, to be right there, proudly being on the poster of that film and being right in the front, I felt that I'm proud of this film because for filmmakers to touch upon, as I said, social causes, social conversations in an entertaining manner, I don't know how many of them do it very successfully.
You know, you said something interesting here. You said that you had a conversation with the director and the producer and said that it shouldn't be a cameo, that it should be a much larger role. And that resulted in a completely different movie. But how much say do you have as an actor, or for the lack of a better term in this context, as an actress, to dictate what the story should be or how the part should be played out, what layers the character should have? How much say and space do you find that you get?
You know, Shireen, actually, when you start meeting people for a film, or you start hearing a film, you start interacting with producers, you start interacting with the makers, very early on in the meetings, and I've started figuring this out, I can gauge how they are seeing a character. I can gauge, okay, they're seeing this character to be a significant character in the film. I can see that they're going to treat the character equally to the male character or other characters in the film. You can gauge that, or rather, I've started to be able to gauge that now.
Have you ever walked away if you felt that it wasn't going to be a fair balance between what they were telling you and what the part would eventually look like?
Absolutely. I absolutely have. And I feel like that it's my responsibility to do that, because I feel that the audience that I have built for myself now, they would not want to see me in parts where there isn't a strong layer to that part. So I feel like I'm responsible towards them as well. So there are a lot of no's that I've been saying. And I think that also happens after you, for me personally, after I've also become clear and I had a clear gauge of, okay, the kind of work that I want to do. So as I was saying that early on you can gauge how collaborative a team is going to be. And I actually want to share this, or rather share this with my colleagues or my contemporaries as well, is that you can gauge an energy in a meeting. You can gauge an energy with the producer. You can gauge an energy with the director. If you feel that your character is not going to get the same kind of respect or is not going to be treated in a way or portrayed in the right way, then be aware of that. And take your time to ask the questions. You know if your questions are going to be answered. You know that if you get an energy, okay, this will be collaborative. Then watch out for a collaborative effort.
Watch out for the red flags and don't be afraid to ask the questions, and don't be afraid to walk away if it's not aligned with what you're looking for.
Absolutely. Watch out for the red flags in a meeting. Gauge. Don't be in a rush to say yes to a film. Ask your questions, know if it's collaborative or not, and then go ahead.
So, you know, you talked about wanting to play parts that have layers. What is the part that you would like to play? What do you aspire to play? Is there a movie, is there a role, you know, domestic or global, that you aspire to do?
You know, I feel that we're at a great time for women in cinema right now, with films like Gangubai, with Razi, with Neerja. There's Manikarnika. Some of them are blockbusters. Some of them not. There would be Hasina, which is my film. There would be Thalaivi. There are so many films. So I feel that people are making these films. And people are on the lookout of strong female characters, strong stories that can be told. So frankly, I feel that because we are at a good space right now, I would be open to any interesting story, because I think that there are so many interesting stories of women out there.
You know, you talked about the fact that we're seeing this change where women are now getting the leading role. So in a sense, they're playing the heroes of a film. And not being relegated to sort of the, you know, the song and dance aspect of it. How much of this change is because, you know, you've got the OTT platforms now, so there is a different kind of content that the audience is getting used to? How much of it is the fact that, you know, this is an aspirational country with a young population, and so choices for that audience, you know, is different, and they're willing to experiment with the kinds of content that they consume? What do you believe has led to this change that we're seeing, where women are being portrayed so differently than what we're used to?
You know, there is this conversation about whether film is a representation of society or vice versa. And frankly, I feel it's a conversation. I don't think that we can land up at a conclusion about it. I can comment on what I've observed. I do feel that even before the entire OTT wave came on, we've had films like Neerja, we've had films released before where they have been about, women being the central character. So I also feel like, a lot of the times I hear that people say that, on OTT you can experiment, but I don't entirely agree with that. I feel like we have seen some massive theatrical releases.
That's right.
So I don't agree with that particularly. I feel that it's also about the market in some way, if I may say so.
Yeah.
I also feel that that has a role. It also has to do with times. There are different topics, there are different social topics which are of relevance. Back in the day, we didn't have touchscreen phones. We didn't have people watching content on their phones.
Yes.
The allure of going to a theater was very different. I don't remember when exactly touchscreen phones came, but I didn't have a touchscreen phone. I remember that.
Well,
so
they've been around for a while now. So.
And they've been around for a while, but I remember that I had the button phone as one of my first phones.
Yeah.
And so I feel that cinema also changes with the times.
And with technology, and with the fact that we now have single screens and multiplexes coexisting, and that has changed the way that people consume their movies. You know, speaking of phones and speaking of technology, what has also changed is the fact that you now have social media. I don't know how many of you know this. She has 85 million followers on Instagram. Is that the last count?
I don't remember exactly, but it's 80 plus.
It's 80 plus, so 80 million followers on Instagram. Who is the real Shraddha Kapoor? Is what we see on Instagram the real Shraddha Kapoor?
100%. Absolutely, that's me. I love sharing when I'm having my poha. I love sharing when I'm enjoying my cup of chai in my little cup, which I'm so attached to, that every day I'm like, is my cup okay? Is my cup okay? The polish of my cup is coming off, but I still want to share, and people know that, I love sharing that. What else? What did I have for dinner? I love sharing.
Is there such a thing as oversharing, or you don't believe that there's any concept of oversharing?
I feel very, very fortunate for the kind of relationship that I've developed with my well-wishers and fans. I'll be very honest with you. I think it's extra special, if I may say so. We have like-minded thoughts. Even when I go out somewhere and someone tells me, I have the same handbag that I saw in your post. And we discuss, someone will say that, I have the same trousers that you have, or the same kurta that you have. And it's so nice. It's so nice to feel like one big happy family.
Yeah.
And
but what about the mystery and the mystique and the aura? I mean, before Instagram and before social media, you knew very little about the personal lives or behind the scenes or what an actor or an actress were like. And that perhaps that mystique and that mystery perhaps elongated their careers as well. Do you believe that is the case, and perhaps this need to constantly put things out about yourself and share as much as you do takes away from that?
I feel like we hear this conversation happen very often, but I really wonder, say in the 1950s, if they had Instagram, would they not use it? I'm wondering, right? Would they not use Instagram if they had touchscreen phones and the OTT platforms? Would they be like, no, I'm not going to watch something on my phone? I wonder. So I feel, again, we go back to that conversation about changing times and technology, and basically, the only constant is change, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty much that. I do feel that from my personal experience, my relationship with my fans has been enhanced to a whole other level being
of
on social media.
Because of the immediacy of the contact as well as the access that
Absolutely.
you've been able to give them. So you do control the
Absolutely.
narrative and you control your own story as
And
well.
I have to tell you that the kind of joy that I feel when I'm reading their DMs or when I get to go on.
Do you read them or do you have a social media manager?
I read them, and I have to say that I have to tell myself, okay, how much has my screen time been today? I have to look at that as well, but it's all me, and I have to tell you that the joy that I get when I read DMs and when I read comments and I get to interact on comments, and you really know what someone is thinking. You know, I don't know how much of that existed because I would imagine that stardom was also a lot more sheltered, perhaps.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, is my imagination of it. So I have no qualms in the era that I'm in, and I'm embracing it wholly and solely.
Yeah, clearly, with 85 million followers, it clearly shows that you're embracing it. But you know, there's the good and the bad side of this. So the good is that you're getting all of this adulation and love immediately from your fans, and they're responding to you pretty much in real time. But you can also have a situation where you have people not say very nice things to you because anonymity provides that safety to say whatever you want to say without any consequences. How do you deal with that?
I apply the same kind of thinking that I've been brought up with, which is perspective, which is what you pay attention to grows. If you believe, if I focus on the love and adulation, and if I focus on also trying to hope that when I share candid aspects of my life, maybe someone is going to get inspired in some way also. So I focus on that very, very frankly. And I feel that that is something that I use also as my strength.
Well, you know, speaking of strengths and things that you're looking forward to and people that you worked with, who do you look up to as the iconic sort of star that inspires you? And from your peer group, you know, is there a peer that you feel more connected with or connected to in terms of the kind of work that they do? So icon and peer.
I have so many people I look up to. So many icons that I look up to. I have them in my own household. I admire them for the way that they've brought me up to begin with. And of course, the kind of work that they've done has been phenomenal. In my peer group, there's so many people doing such good work. I recently watched Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani, and I absolutely loved Alia in it. I thought that she was extremely effortless, so natural, an absolute delight to watch, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching her.
Well, okay, so that's one big point there for Alia Bhatt in her latest movie. But, you know, I can't let you go. And again, she's a woman with many talents. One is, of course, that she's a beautiful singer. And I've been told by everybody in my producing team that we have to get you to end with a song. Wherever you like. It could be your favorite song. It could be a song that embodies your journey in the movie business so far, or what you hope to do in the movie business in the future.
Are we already at the end of our chat, though?
We are, unfortunately, good things don't last too long, unfortunately. So we are at the end of our chat, unfortunately.
Okay. So this is when I'm supposed to sing?
This is where you're supposed to sing. Do you want me to say action?
Should I? Okay, I'm seeing we're playing Dum Charades. You guys only tell me, what should I sing?
On
Will you
popular
sing
demand.
with me? Pakka. Promise. Pakka wala promise.
You look at them, they're dying, they're waiting for you to start.
Okay. तू मेरी नींदों में सोता है, तू मेरे अश्कों में होता है, सरगोशी सी है ख्यालों में, तू ना हो फिर भी तू होता है. Okay, I went थोड़ा आगे, so we'll sing the chorus together. तेरी गलियां तेरी गलियां मुझको भावे गलियां तेरी गलियां यूं ही तड़पावे गलियां तेरी गलियां. Thank you so much.
Shraddha Kapoor, thank you for being such a wonderful sport, and thank you so much for sharing your life story, your life's journey, but more importantly, your dreams and aspirations with us here on this platform. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause
Thank you.
for
Thank you,
Shraddha
everyone.
Kapoor.
Thank you so much, Shraddha. And Shireen, I'd also request you, Shraddha, please stay on stage. There's a memento that is waiting for you.
श्री शक्ति का हिस्सा बनने के लिए और अपना कीमती वक्त देने के लिए श्रद्धा, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका। और आगे भी आप सब हमारे साथ बने रहिएगा, क्योंकि एक बेहद खास सेशन आगे आपका इंतजार कर रहा है, जो हम सभी की जिंदगी का एक अटूट हिस्सा बन चुका है।
Ladies and gentlemen, Shraddha Kapoor. Thank you so much. Esteemed guests, we'd request you to kindly be seated. We are now headed for our last and final session of the evening, so we'd request you to be seated. It is as interesting as this session that has just about concluded. Request you all to kindly be seated. Once you take your seats, we will begin the proceedings for the next session. Ladies and gentlemen, our next session is called Social Media Shakti. They command the digi-space, and as micro-celebrities, they are probably as popular as the movie stars. Finding opportunity in the way they express themselves, they have successfully carved out lucrative careers as influencers. As social media sensations, these icons dominate India's thriving creator economy and ensure media isn't considered a frivolous tool. Beyond the reels, the song and dance, the jokes, these influencers are body positivity champions, LGBTQI representatives, career consultants, doctors, financial advisors, you name it, and you'll find a role model in each one of them.
जी हाँ, अभिव्यक्ति और अवसर का मंच यानी सोशल मीडिया, लेकिन जहाँ सोशल मीडिया सनसनी बनना और उसे बरकरार रखना कम मुश्किलों भरा नहीं, परिवार से लेकर समाज के सवालों का सामना करना, अनजान दुनिया को अपनाते हुए खुद को समेट कर रखना, हर दिन एक नए ज्ञान के साथ प्रभावशाली बनना पहाड़ सी चुनौतियां लेकर आता है, जिसका मजबूती से सामना करते हुए इन शीर्ष शक्तियों ने अपनी ऑनलाइन प्रेजेंस को सफल करियर में बदला। इस सेशन की कमान के लिए मैं मंच पर बुलाना चाहूंगी मेरी सहयोगी पलकी शर्मा को। जोरदार तालियों के साथ हमारे पैनल का भी स्वागत करिए। कविता किचन की कविता सिंह का हम चाहेंगे आप मंच पर आएं। इसके अलावा हंसना हो सकता है आसान हो, लेकिन हंसाना बहुत मुश्किल होता है। मैं आमंत्रित करना चाहूंगी श्रुति अर्जुन आनंद को भी, यूट्यूब कॉमेडियन जो कि हंसाती हैं। इसके अलावा स्वागत करिएगा अपर्णा टंडले जी का भी, जिन्हें आप काम वाली बाई के तौर पर बखूबी जानते हैं। और साथ ही फिटनेस एक्सपर्ट रश्मि राय का भी जोरदार तालियों के साथ आप सभी स्वागत जरूर करें। आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है श्री शक्ति के सबसे बड़े मंच पर।
Thank you, and what a wonderful panel to have. Let's first have a big round of applause for our panelists. Thank you. And I will ask you questions individually, but I want to ask one question to all of you. In a country and a world where everyone thinks of themselves as content creators, what do you see as your competition and how do you deal with it? Kavita Singh, let's start with you. You started Kavita's Kitchen. Of all things, you're teaching a country with so many varieties of cuisine to cook, and you're doing it fabulously. What made you take this up, and how has the journey been?
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. और मैं आपकी बहुत बड़ी फ़ैन हूँ. मैं काफ़ी देर से सोच रही थी कि आपसे मिलूँ तो मैं आपको बताऊँ. मैंने आपको बहुत देखा है. और जैसे मेरी जर्नी 2014 में शुरू हुई थी, और जब मेरा बेटा स्कूल जाने लगा था और खाली टाइम रहता था घर पे, तो मैंने सोचा कि उस खाली टाइम को यूज़ करके कुछ किया जाए, क्योंकि बच्चे को छोड़ के ऑफिस नहीं जाना था. तब मैंने ये यूट्यूब का जो कुकिंग का आइडिया था, क्योंकि कुकिंग का पैशन मुझे पहले से ही था, और देन आई स्टार्टेड माई यूट्यूब चैनल इन 2014. और जब मैंने रेसिपी पोस्ट करनी शुरू की तो लोगों ने कहा कि आप जो बेसिक चीज़ें बताते हो कि गैस कब बंद करना है, कितना टाइम पकाना है, तो हम बैचलर्स बिगनर्स को बहुत हेल्प होता है. तो मेरे को समझ में आया कि अच्छा लोगों को ये चाहिए. तो मैंने उसको, जो लोगों ने डिमांड किया, उस चीज़ को अपना स्ट्रेंथ बनाया और उस पर काम करके मैंने वीडियो बनाना शुरू किया, और लोगों ने काफ़ी अप्रिशिएट किया.
और घर में कैसा रिस्पॉन्स था कि हाँ खाना बना रही हो, अब वीडियो के साथ बना रही हो?
हाँ, तो उनको मिल जाता था ना, मतलब वीडियो बनाती थी तो खाना भी ज़्यादा स्टाइलिश बनता था. तो वो बहुत खुश होते थे कि आज तो नया कुछ मिलेगा, आज तो नया कुछ मिलेगा.
अच्छा, एक चीज़ मैं हमेशा पूछना चाहती हूँ, जो लोग खाने की रेसिपीज डालते हैं, क्या हमेशा परफेक्ट बनता है या कभी जलता भी है?
ऐसा नहीं है, बहुत बार ख़राब भी होता है. तो मैं तो बहुत बार कोशिश करती हूँ, मतलब अगर मैं दूसरी कुजीन ट्राई कर रही हूँ जो मेरे एरिया का नहीं है या जो मेरे कल्चर का नहीं है, तो मैं उसको पहले 3-4 बार घर पे बनाती हूँ, लोगों से राय लेती हूँ कि सही बना है कि नहीं, देन उसकी रेसिपी पोस्ट करती हूँ. तो मैं कोशिश करती हूँ कि अगर एक बार मैंने वीडियो पोस्ट किया तो वो ख़राब ना हो किसी का, क्योंकि अगर आपने मेरी रेसिपी देख के बनाई और आपका खाना अच्छा नहीं बना तो आप मेरे ऊपर ट्रस्ट नहीं करोगे, आप मेरे को अनफॉलो कर दोगे. तो वो चीज़ दिमाग में रखनी पड़ती है.
Awesome. Shruti Arjun Anand, you're making people laugh and you have 10 million subscribers. How do you do it?
तो सबसे पहले तो मैं बता दूं, मेरी सिर्फ 10 मिलियन नहीं है. मेरी खुद की सोशल मीडिया कंपनी है जिसके अंडर 6 यूट्यूब चैनल्स आते हैं, एंड वी हैव मोर देन 40 मिलियन सब्सक्राइबर्स इन टोटल, 6 यूट्यूब चैनल्स. तो डिफ़िकल्ट तो हर चीज़ होती है, बट मेरे मम्मी पापा ने हमेशा मुझे यही सिखाया है कि जब तक ट्राई नहीं करोगे तब तक कैसे आप किसी भी चीज़ को नो कर सकते हो. अपना 100 नहीं 200% दो, और फिर देखो अगर आपको नहीं रिस्पांस मिल रहा है इसका मतलब आप कुछ तो गड़बड़ कर रहे हो. लेकिन अगर रिस्पांस मिल रहा है तो आपको सब खुद ही पता चल जाएगा कि आप सही ट्रैक पे हो कि नहीं हो.
पर हम अभी भी एक बहुत नए आयाम खुले हैं, पर फिर भी एक ऐसे समाज में हैं जहाँ करियर ऑप्शंस सभी के लिए लिमिटेड हैं. जब आप पेरेंट्स से बात करते हैं, डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर, MBA, आजकल बहुत स्टार्टअप में भी जा रहे हैं, महिलाओं के लिए और भी लिमिटेड हैं. सो व्हेन यू इंट्रोड्यूस, और यू स्टार्टेड इन द बिगिनिंग इंट्रोड्यूसिंग योरसेल्फ एज अ कॉमेडियन, व्हाट वाज द रिस्पांस?
तो मैं खुद एक इंजीनियर हूँ.
अच्छा.
तो जब मैंने फुल टाइम यूट्यूबर बनी मैं, तो स्टार्टिंग में लोगों को उस टाइम पे सोशल मीडिया इतना ज़्यादा पता ही नहीं था कि होता क्या है. 2013 की बात कर रही हूँ मैं. तो लोग मजाक भी उड़ाते थे. कई लोग बोलते थे कि इंजीनियर होने के बावजूद आप ये क्यों कर रहे हो, कुछ और करो, आपके हस्बैंड IITian है तो आपको कुछ अच्छा ही करना चाहिए और लुक अप टू करना चाहिए उनको. बट हमेशा मुझे मेरी फैमिली ने, हस्बैंड ने प्रोत्साहित किया कि नहीं, तुम्हारा पैशन है, इसको फॉलो करो. जब मैं अपनी जॉब करता हूँ तो हस्बैंड ने बोला कि तो मैं पैशनेटली करता हूँ तो मैं अच्छा कर रहा हूँ, तो आप भी कोई भी चीज़ कर रही हो तो उसको पैशनेटली करो. स्टार्टिंग में तो रिस्पांस थोड़ा सा डिफ़िकल्टी होता है, स्पेसिफिकली जब एक मुझे बोलना चाहिए मैरिड लड़की अपने सोशल मीडिया पे वीडियोस डालती है, स्पेसिफिकली कॉमेडी और एक डिफरेंट जॉनर के, तो रिलेटिव्स बोलते ही हैं, काफ़ी लोग नीचा दिखाने की कोशिश करते हैं. बट मुझे लगता है कि परिवार वाले जो हैं वो आपके पिलर होते हैं. अगर वो हस्बैंड सब साथ दे रहे होते हैं तो आपकी जो पावर है वो 10 गुना ज़्यादा बढ़ जाती है और आप